All right, we're going to get started. It's 9:30 and I am calling this meeting to order. Notice to all the attendees, if you could silence your phone, please. Same to the board, because we always have to remind them. And also we'd like to ask anybody that's in the audience if you could not talk while we're talking. It helps because we hear it all up here and it's hard to hear ourselves. Secretary Bishop, would you read the video disclaimer?
I would love to. This general session is being filmed and posted on the member portal of the First Service Connect website. If you speak during homeowner comments, your image and comments will be included in the filming. Private audio or video recordings are prohibited.
Okay, Secretary Bishop, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just when you thought you might be done, can you do the roll call, please?
Kelly Byrne? Here. Roxanne Remmel? Evelyn Thomas? Here. Karen Bishop? Sandy Reiser?
Here.
Peter Kornick? Lynn Lazinski? Here.
And last thing, can you read about our executive sessions, please?
Okay. An executive session meeting was held on February 16th and another one on February 26th, where the Board of Directors discussed some or all of the items related to the following. Number 1, litigation or potential litigation. 2, matters relating to the formation of contracts with third parties. 3, member discipline. 4, member delinquency, including payment plan requests. 5, personnel matters and/or approval of executive session minutes.
Thank you. All right, next we have the minutes from January 31st. Does anybody have comments? Anybody on the board have any comments? Lynn, microphone.
Yes, on page 8, item C, Treasurer's Report. I retracted the submitted Treasurer's Report because the financials did not reflect the corrections that I spoke to in my report.
So it should say what?
Retracted the submitted Treasurer's Report because the financials did not have the necessary corrections.
Nina, you have that? Anything else, Lynn? Anybody else? Roxanne?
On page 10, under the ad hoc common area responsibility, motion was made to rescind the approval at the July 19th meeting for the landscape committee to approve pavers and removable modifications. And then going down there, it says that the motion passed unanimously. My recollection was that we did not pass it and we did not rescind that.
Okay, so I submitted to Nina an entire page on this. So the first motion was the motion to rescind. It failed. I have the who's in here. And the second one was the one where we added architecture committee, so it says the landscape and architecture committee. That passed unanimously. The third one was to create the policy for the ability for the committee to approve this. That passed. The fourth motion was to form the ad hoc committee, determining how to be implemented. That too passed. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4 that I gave to Nina and Karen to update minutes with. I think that included what you spoke of, correct?
Well, I guess I'm still confused. The way it reads to me, it was...
And don't read what's there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So there was an issue with the tool the First Service uses for...
Okay.
And so that's what happened. So
Okay.
now we've resolved this, correct? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I can show you my page if you want to see it.
I believe you. I'm just reading here and I...
Okay. Evelyn, you have anything? Karen? Okay.
Just for clarification, are you saying then that on ours on page 10, it's where it says first motion?
You take that whole section out, C, and there's a whole page replacement. And
Okay, thank you.
I have it right here if you want to read it. Okay, the only question I have is Marissa, under management reports, B, the woodshop and lapidary rules. We were supposed to have the guidelines of operating rules, and I didn't see it in the packet.
They're not, it's not ready.
Okay, so it's not ready yet. So is this something we anticipate for the March meeting? Okay. So yeah, can you put that in the round table, please, Nina, at the end? You see where that is? Can you add that to it? Okay. It's getting added to it? Okay, I'll put it on mine too. Okay, do I have a motion to approve these minutes as amended?
Second.
Okay, so Karen and Peter, all in favor, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kelly?
I'm abstaining. I understand you have a page and I don't have it. So, yeah, I'm abstaining.
Okay. I could pass it to you if you want to see it. So, it's just that it's so long I didn't want to read it.
Right, no, just email it to me.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. I will make myself a note to do that. Okay. Email. Amendment. All right, oh, the president's report, that's me. Okay, so it's really hard to believe that this is my last regular president's report as president of the OCA Board of Directors. In a few weeks, there'll be a new board and a new president. I'm certainly ready to spend more time with my husband, who deserves more of me. And our first adventure in April is 2 weeks in San Jose del Cabo, and we're really looking forward to that. So I really wanted to thank all the homeowners for their support during the good times and the bad times, and it's been really great getting to know so many of you. I also want to thank the large group of volunteers who support the board with their committee work for OCA. These are the individuals who volunteer to make our community better with fun and hard work. Thank you, Activities for Fun. And thank you for all that you do. A huge thanks to the First Service team who have begun to really integrate with our community, and a big shout out to Marisa, did I say it right? Marisa, who's led the team, the board, and the homeowners through a precarious time. I have great hope for this partnership going forward. And speaking of volunteers, the largest commitment to the association is sitting right up here at this table. A huge thank you to this amazing group of people. Peter, Karen, Lynn, Evelyn, Roxanne, and Kelly have been a dedicated board, always focusing on what is right for the community and not for themselves. They've been willing to put in the hard work so that future boards hopefully do not have to do that, the kind of time that we've had to do. What an honor it has been, and I thank them for all their dedication. As always, let's look forward and continue the work I've talked about here to make OCA the best that it can be. Next, Karen, do you have anything for the Secretary's report?
I just have a comment. I want to thank Nina for getting up to speed on the First Service Residential. We're going to get this down and working well. And then encouragement to every homeowner. Please go on to the Connect website, look at your profile, update it, make sure that the email addresses that you'd like to have on there are there listed. And if you need any help whatsoever, the office is there to help you get through, get logged on, or get updated.
And Karen, you want to talk about the annual meeting?
Sure.
Sure.
We're having an annual meeting. It's March 16th. We will have a presentation while the Inspector of Election counts our ballots. If you have a ballot, you don't want to mail it, or you can't make up your mind till March 15th, then you can bring your ballot to the auditorium. The Inspector of Elections will be here collecting any ballots that walk in at 12:30. At 1 o'clock, all ballots are just, it's closed. You can't submit a ballot. If you have thought you could drop it off at the office, please do not do that. By law, we cannot accept it. The office cannot accept it. Neither needs to be mailed in or walked in. And Marisa, do we have the makeup ballots?
We have extras in the office.
Yeah, the ballots and stuff that you have is the envelope stuff.
Okay. So if you do need one, if you made a mistake on your ballot, somebody emailed me today saying, oh, what do we do? Then the office should be able to give you another ballot and or envelope. But remember to mail them. It takes a couple days to get there, so there's no guarantee if you wait too late to do that. And the annual meeting should probably go from about 1 to 3 when the Inspector of Elections is done tabulating the election results. Then they will provide a report, and that will be the end of the annual meeting.
Followed by the organization meeting by the new board with a 10-minute break. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the ad hoc, I didn't say that to you. Lynn, treasurer's report. So this is not the financial report, just the treasurer's report piece, okay?
Okay, as we close the fiscal year 2023, we're actually not closing the books yet, but I have a projection here for you. We're still working on finalizing the financials and getting them audited. But I had the opportunity to both communicate in writing and through a Zoom call with Jeremy Newman, who is the CPA who will be doing our audit and our taxes this year, and to go over some of the questions that I had on our financials. And there will be some adjustments made during the course of the audit. I took those adjustments and applied them to our December financials to see, have a most educated guesstimate that we could come up with. The significant thing is to see whether or not we're going to finish with positive or negative variance, and it will be positive. Exactly how much, we'll see when it's audited, but I'm estimating about $100,000. That will result from, we brought in $18,000 more than we expected. I don't know whether that's good news or bad news, because that source of income is delinquency charges, late fees, and interest on past dues. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on that one. We also saved on our utilities. Thank you very much for usage of water, and in particular water, and the refuse collection went down when it switched from the city to waste management. In the common area maintenance, there was service cart maintenance and some equipment that was not finished in 2023. The money will be there to do that in 2024. Our biggest savings, surprise to all, was in legal fees. This is our general counsel who assists us with all of, anything related to the association, our bylaws, our election, things like that. And those came in lower, large part because the insurance did cover a lot of our expenses for last year that we had budgeted for just in case. And I think that was the major areas. Going through the budget, we're very close in all areas, within $1,000 to $2,000 on each line item. So I think the budget board did a really good job in the revision of the budget. $1,000 here and $500 there, and another $1,000 in this line item add up to a lot of money. So it's not that the budget was off, it's that we did a really good job adhering to it. What we'll do, the disposition of those, anything that's left over, will be decided after we get the audited expenses and we know exactly what those numbers are, but rest assured that we had a positive outcome for last year.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Okay, now we're going to do homeowners' comments. Kelly's going to go to the back and see if there's any more, but I'm going to say who's first, and then I'm going to say who's second, so you can make your way to the front. Charlie Went, you're first, and Sue Manson's you're going to be next, so if you can make your way to the front. Oops, sorry, Sue, sorry. It's Steve Milligan.
Hi, good morning. Charlie Went, Unit 7, House Number 9. I'm just going to read from this. We came home after being gone over the weekend to finally find that Street K was now marked with no parking designations on it. It had not been remarked after our roads were worked on and slurried several years ago. But to our surprise, both sides of our street had been marked for no parking. Residents who lived on the street for over 20 years have said that only one side had ever been marked as such. This severely impacts delivery, other work vehicles that come to our homes, and our residents who occasionally use the street for our personal vehicles. I feel the value of our home will be reduced if this marking continues. Please expedite what needs to be done to correct this with markings only on one side of the street. Second comment, thank you all to the Board of Directors for all your work this past year. I know it was a lot of time and effort you did, so I thank you for your work. Thanks.
Thanks, Charlie. Steve, you were next. And then Sue, you'll be after that. So if you could make your way to the front, that'd be great.
Good morning. Thanks for taking me so quickly. I just had a series of questions. Could somebody provide the date of the most recent approved financial statements? So I believe there's some confusion about their status. And let me just say, the reason I'm asking that question is because something came up where I was asked to forward some statements from Oceana, and as a CPA, I can't knowingly transmit something that I'm not sure is correct. So you mentioned audits, so any update there would be great. Also, in a previous meeting, I had asked the date that the special assessment was on the agenda, according to David Sterling, and the agenda that was transmitted to the homeowners. And Dan, who's not here anymore, said he would give me that information, but I never got it. And also, where the board vote was on that was recorded. And then just a couple of questions. When will the HOA response to the demurrer be distributed to the homeowners? I'm interested because we're going to be going out of town soon, and I know the court date's next month. And lastly, I'd be really appreciative if somebody could give us a brief discussion of the legal theory behind restricting homeowner access to information regarding the OLC litigation. Because if we are in fact the surrogate plaintiffs in this case, I understand that David Sterling allows litigation to be put under confidentiality when it affects the HOA to homeowners. But to external third parties, I'm not sure what the legal theory of the secrecy is. And thank you, that's all.
Thanks, Steve. Sue? And after Sue is going to be Ed. So if you can come forward, that'd be great.
Okay. Just before you start timing, Peter, I'm reading this on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of Lisa Baggett, who is the architecture chairperson. Not endorsing her one way or the other, I'm just telling you that I'm doing it. Okay. Sue Manzis, I'm from Unit 12, number 76. First of all, I do appreciate the desire to upgrade our community. Oh, this is regarding number D, the ad hoc common area modification. But I don't think the modification plan is well fleshed out, and I'm not sure why we're pushing this forward. The modifications you're proposing are outside the realm of what Oceana was originally intended to be, which was a community that was like for like and unified. None, to my knowledge, none of the other Oceanas have modifications like you're proposing that will branch out onto common land. Also, I believe that because of these modifications, if you continue to push forward, you're putting a huge amount of work on volunteers from Landscaping Committee and Architecture Committee to determine the fairness, analyze needs versus wants, judge the scope of the projects. I think this will eventually lead to disputes between neighbors, economic disparity between those who can afford modifications versus those who cannot. And I want to just take a note that the verbiage that some of you are using as my property is deceptive and false. It is not our property. HOAs cannot be equal if we allow modifications on the basis of individual economic affordability. And that's what it's coming down to. People who can afford to do what they want to do as though they're living in a non-HOA community. And that simply isn't the way HOAs function. I think it's irresponsible, and quite frankly, it's pandering to the upper echelon of residents here who do what they want, even though they willingly bought in an HOA, knowing the parameters of the governing documents. Just because they don't like them now does not mean that we can change them just because they were established and maintain uniformity and fairness among the 932 homes here, like all HOAs do. To put us at risk by customizing certain outside spaces in the middle of a land lease lawsuit is absolute madness, in my opinion. And I think it will backfire on all of us if we lose this lawsuit and for some reason the OCA decides we're in violation of our original lease, which is entirely possible. So I'm just suggesting, please just wait until we get this land lease done, or whatever, done over with, so that we don't have to deal with all this and rescind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Ed, please, and then Teresa, you're going to be next, so if you could make your way forward.
Hi folks, I'm Ed McDonald, Unit 8, House 72. This is my monthly bill. I'm showing it to everybody because it's become quite an albatross. I have talked to 2 different realtors who are selling properties in our area and found out just the impact that this raise in HOA dues has had on us. Apparently, one of the realtors had looked back at sales in the last couple of months and found that time on the market has doubled since the dues have gone up. Another realtor said that she finds that customers that view the rate of this HOA bill makes them consider Ocean Hills instead because it's a better situation. It's less money. They get more amenities for their payments, and the properties are kept up much better. So raising the HOA dues has had a fiscal impact. Both of those properties that I looked at, they lowered the price by $10,000 from their initial offering because of this. So the impact on us as homeowners is very significant. Not only is it an expensive bill, I could be leasing a Mercedes at this rate, it's also impacting the values of the houses now that are on the market. So I wish that the board would consider moving this back. If you need money and you need it quickly, then I think that a special assessment that's submitted to the people at large for a vote would be the proper way of doing this. So many decisions are made from an administrative level that it appears that the board is in trouble. And I think that people on the outside are seeing that and avoiding us. So you need to really consider how you're getting your money and the appropriate ways of doing it. Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Teresa. And next will be Eric. So if you could make your way forward.
Good morning. I'm Teresa Chamberlain Spradlin, and I'm in Unit 8, House 18. And I have just a couple brief comments. In the Hilltop Highlights in March, we're advertising a donation box for the Women Warrior Foundation. It's for women coming out of the service, and I don't want to go take too much time because a couple of things. But the donations start on March 1st, Friday. So we need durable goods, and all that's listed in the Hilltop Highlights for March. The other comment I want to make, thank you for stating that the ballots, if someone missed a ballot, they could go to the office, because the other day, one of our elderly residents went to the office to get one and was refused. Like, we don't know anything about giving you an extra ballot. They came back to the CRC, and we didn't know that they couldn't get a ballot from the office. So if they can get a ballot, then we'll try to reach out to that resident so she can come back. But it was, she felt like she got the cold shoulder, and no one at the office understood why she needed to get a replacement ballot. She had misplaced it in her home. And I want to say thank you to the board, the outgoing and current board, and Sandy, you did a great job with it. Thank you, so I don't have to reiterate that. And I did speak with Fernando about the dog park lock. I had trouble with it last night because of, and I explained it to him, but it does stick and it doesn't open all the time, and there's a dog park angel who opens it up in the morning for people, and then we lock it at night. So I just want to make sure that the lock situation, I know it's trivial, but when you have to go and let your dog use the space, it's an inconvenient, and my old dog has to use that space. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. Eric? And then Helena, you're after him, so if you could make your way forward.
Kind of a joint thing, so I'll just let hers.
Did they get 6 minutes?
So, I'm sorry, are there 2 homeowners?
No, it's just one homeowner.
Okay, so it's 3 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it together. We're recording.
Wait,
So you need to use the microphone, please.
Yeah, I'm here after we had an accident. I'm sure most of you know about it already. It was January, about a month ago, and a woman that's from 11, She was speeding probably maybe 40, 50 miles an hour. And my car was parked in the front, and she slammed into it, and it went over the curb about 20 feet. And this is why I'm here, we need to do something about the speed. Eric will cover that area. And I have a picture of it. The car is totally damaged. There's nothing that could be repaired on it. I have a rental car now for a month. We haven't heard anything much from the insurance, but this is the main thing that we need to do. I just came here from San Marcos. I've been here 1 year, and I just wonderful friends, new friends I've met. And thank you special to Evelyn, who welcomed me with all the brochures when I came here. Wonderful neighbors, everything is great here, except the speeding has got to stop before they kill someone. San Marcos, we had a wonderful patrol. They also put in speed bumps, which sort of helped, but Lake San Marcos is also a circle like here. So they did it one section because I think they killed a dog, and then they finally put in the things. But I don't think that will work. Eric will cover that area, and he's well familiar with things like this because he's a manager and also head pro at the golf course, not this one, Lake Central. But he's taking a leave of absence to help me tremendously renovating my place. So he's going to be here for a while, and he's an asset to this community. And he's also a handyman if anyone needs him. Okay, I'll show you, this is the picture, and what we recommend. Also, I know you have we have her address and all. I don't know, hopefully she doesn't drive anymore. But we did want to, we're all in connection with the police already, and they would like to set up maybe a speed trap, or probably better would be a radar gun, and just find people. It won't help. We had that thing even in San Marcos where they tell you the speed, but that doesn't seem to help. So there's every...
3 minutes is almost done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Thanks, Lena. Take care. Go ahead, Ken.
If you're interested, I'd be happy to talk to you about some of the issues that OPD has done in this area. I know Sandy has your information, she'll forward it to me.
Thanks, Kelly. Okay. Next up, financial report. Lynn.
We have the most
Microphone. I thought this was the month, the magic month.
Hey, I didn't want to disappoint you. We have the most recent December financials in the packet. As I stated earlier, there are some corrections and adjustments that are needed. I'm making a motion that we forward all of the financials August through December that we've received from First Service to the Newman CPA, who is doing our audit, and have them do the audit and corrections.
So Lynn makes that motion. Do you have a second? Roxanne made a second. Okay, discussion. Who wants to start? Nobody has anything to say? Kelly?
I just have a question. I believe the audit is only for 2023, correct?
Yeah, these are 2023 financials.
Right. So we're going to go back, and your motion is for the audit to cover the financials and then bring them forward for our corrections or our review, or?
This particular motion is that we send the 2023 financials onto the auditor for audit and correction. He'll note the corrections needed.
Right, so there's no motion from you to just accept the financials with an amendment to that they're not complete until the auditor sees them?
No, there is not.
Okay, thank you.
Roxanne? Evelyn?
No.
Karen? No. I have some question on the financials. So my questions are on the reimbursables, payroll tax, that these are over budget because why? Because they're new, their first service new? On the variance report, this is page 2. Or 25 in our packet, if you want to know what I'm looking at. 25 in the packet. And total reimbursables and payroll taxes are over budget by a sizable chunk of change. So my question is, why?
There are 2 budget line items. One is management reimbursables. That is 19111. It ended with a positive 15,122. And then there is also, there's a second one for all other reimbursables. It ended negative. The 2 of them balance each other out. It's $1,000 positive. When we did the budget, there were different categories of reimbursables, and we realigned them in different places than they have actually been charged. We're going to go with just one reimbursables line item in 2024 so that there isn't the confusion, but we were under budget.
Okay, so is there a reason that variance item isn't on the variance report? Because that would seem to me that there would be, it's a variance, and then I'd just be able to see that easily on the report. So first service, you give the microphone to Marissa.
We can add the variances. The variances are just the negatives, so
Oh,
we
I
can
see.
add the positives.
In a situation like this, it's just easier to understand. Okay. And professional fees, we were over by 1,800. Do we know why? Anybody?
Am I, one of the fees that goes in there, which is that folio. The cost was reduced during the year. No, over by professional services. I forget which, we added something in there during the year. And
Took it out of somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay, again, we'd be able to see that if we did this. Okay, and the last question is, I had this inside the financial club. I don't understand the legal one, the Procopio one. I don't get what's in here. So I want to make sure that this is being booked properly.
Which are you referring to?
So if you look at 23168,
No, I mean what page?
still on page 25 in the variance
Okay.
report. And I noticed it when I was in the reports too, so I saw it both places. But the question is we show the 20,000 that we spend each month, and then we have the liability, the part we don't pay, that's sitting on the books, correct? But is it sitting there correctly? Because I'm confused by it. When I read the financials, it's unclear to me. So if it's unclear to me, maybe I'm the dumbest person in the room, but I'm pretty sure that a homeowner who wants to see the financials would be asking the same question.
It's also unclear to me, and that's one of the questions that I would like the auditor to figure out. The 20,000 that we do pay should be listed as a payment made on the expense line, and anything above that should be listed in the reserve accounts payable, so that they're both they're all in on the books. The part that we put into accounts payable should not be accrued into the expenses that we paid, because we don't accrue.
Because then we're double dipping, is that what you're saying?
Then we're double listing it, yeah. So we'll need to verify that all of those are booked that way, and I'm sure the auditor will. That's one of the questions for you.
And I think it's important for everybody, including homeowners, to understand is that we do track that manually month by month, so we know exactly how much we have paid and have not paid. But the books need to reflect that properly, and it was confusing to me to look at them.
We're on a modified accrual counting, and so revenue is accrued, and expenses are listed as the services incurred and paid. So if we have something that is still payable, it goes into the accounts payable. So you would need to look at accounts payable plus actual expenses for the total.
So I think that it's important going forward that we sort of track that with our financial reporting so that the homeowners can see that clearly, because I think it's important for everybody to understand what we still owe and see exactly what we're paying.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Peter.
I'm looking at Well, I guess this is a question for later for Fernando regarding Unit 2. I'll just defer my.
Okay, all right. All right, any other, Kelly?
Maybe just a suggestion that the person who does the accounting for service residential, perhaps for the new board, they should be part of the new board orientation so we can get a better understanding of what they are presenting in accounting. I mean, I understand we have an audit going on and we're going to look at that, but you know, it's great you're talking to them, but it would be good for the next board to have whoever it may be have that understanding, because you know, things are missing. There's questions.
I think that would be a good idea after the audit and the noted corrections come from the auditor so that we know that we're all on the same page.
But I think Kelly's point of the board understanding how First Service operates with doing the financials, I think is a good thing for the board to know. Because I think, I look at this, I mean, the variance report is great because we never had that before. But then I'm like, why? and so.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that there may be some changes in that once we get the audit, and I want it to all be settled and resolved.
Okay, so your motion is to forward the August through December financials. By the way, the board has seen all those financials through December, prepared by OCA, by First Service Residential, to Newman Certified Public Accountants for audit and correction, correct?
Yes.
All right. Any other discussion, or are we ready to vote? All in favor, raise your hand. 700. And then you have a second motion, Lynn?
Yeah, I do want to note that they will also be getting the January through July financials for the audit. Those were the ones that were prepared when we were self-managed. Those have already been reviewed and approved, so I was only speaking to this one in terms of. And then I'm going to make a motion that we table any further discussion of the 2023-24 financials until they have been audited and all noted corrections made as noted by the CPA.
24 financials?
No, sorry, 2023.
I'm like, whoa.
No, sorry.
Okay, so you're making a motion to table acceptance of the any 2023 financials until the audit is performed, right?
To table further discussion of the 2023 financials until they've been audited and all corrections made as noted by the CPA.
Nina, do you have that? Do I have a second?
Second.
Peter beat you. All right, discussion, anybody? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. 700. All right. Delinquency actions. This is me. Per California Civil Code 5705C, this item serves to document action taken by the board in executive session to involve the association's collection attorney in delinquent account proceedings. Notation of the following actions that were approved at the February 26, 2024 executive session. Foreclosure, APN 160-211-2900, and liens for the following APNs: 160-150-4400, 160-180-0400, 160-341-4900, 160-210-5600, 160-210-7500, and 160-330-1100. Okay, that's all I have to do, right, Marissa? Okay.
I missed the sixth number. I'm kidding. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
I'm like, okay. All right, great. Okay, next we have the management reports. So Marissa, we're going to start with you.
Thank you, Sandy. For the management report, pending the additional bids for the tree bids that were in January's meeting. They were tabled to this meeting, and those revised bids are still pending. So what we are presenting, we'd like to make a motion that you appoint board members Roxanne Remmel and Lynn Lazinski to review those bids and approve those bids in between meetings, not to exceed the $40,000 budget.
All right, so I make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roxanne seconds. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Peter.
Roxanne, myself, several members of the landscape committee went out and looked at the trees and reviewed the bids. So I feel that we should be involved in the continuing discussion as to how money should be allocated to tree pruning and/or removal.
So I believe this is the entire budget for the year, correct? And this is to have Roxanne and Lynn, who are continuing on the board, but to actually go through the process and review it before the next board meeting, that you basically can approve it in lieu of the board. So if I'm hearing for you, Peters, you want to be involved in that process as well? You'd have to do it before March 16th, so
Yes, I understand that. Yes, I want to be involved in that. Because there's a lot of discussion as to what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done, or what can be deferred.
Are you guys okay with it? Me amending that or no?
I'm okay with it.
Lynn? Okay, so I'm gonna amend the motion that Peter is also involved in this, and that it has to take place be finalized before March 16th, so by March 15th. Any other discussion on that?
I'd like some clarification.
Yeah.
We usually do tree trimming in the fall. If we have $40,000 for the year and we spend it now, that doesn't leave anything for the fall. Are we looking at that? We're taking that into consideration?
I believe that's what you guys did when you when you went around and looked at all the trees, right? You looked at what the year was gonna be.
That's correct. He tried to, I haven't seen the final outcome, but it was mainly in the trimming part, look at kind of what has to happen first, and then kind of put off until more into the middle or end of the year, other things. Some things on his original list will not get done this year, though. This isn't going to happen.
Because that's the whole budget.
Yes.
Peter?
Also, some things on the original list don't need to be done.
So that's why the three of you are being designated to duke it out and let us know what the answer is. All right? Any more clarification needed, Lynn?
No, but I'd like to request an amendment to the motion. Who made it? There appears that there's going to be $8,000 that was budgeted for 2023 for tree trimming in reserves that is left, because the $17,000 that was budgeted for work done came in less than that. Can we include that $8,000 that was not utilized last year, as well as the $40,000 in the budget this year, in our considerations?
I'm okay with that. Anybody want to argue with that? I'm going to amend my motion to include
The only thing I would ask, Lynn, is we've asked Eric to come up with the guidelines for $40,000, and you're also saying, what if we have some emergencies that come up? So I'm just wondering if we should leave the motion, keep that money for those kind of things that still could come up, because we could not cover all of the things in his report.
Then can you say 40,000 from 2023 remainder and 2024 budget, so that it's kind of, that way we're spending last year's and we're leaving money in this year?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, it's my amendment, so I'll say it sounds good. My motion. Okay, so from 2023 for budget, so that means you're going to spend 40 when there's really 48, and then there's 8 for contingency. Okay. Any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, 700. Okay, Marisa.
And then the last thing we would like to announce is that starting on March 11th, the general manager position has been refilled, and his name is Michael Flores, so he'll be here on March 11th starting, and we're excited for everybody to meet him.
Yay.
Marisa?
You finally learned how to say her name like 2 days ago.
Can you also say about March 8th, office closed?
Oh.
And could you also, because it's not further in the agenda, but we have passed the mailing of the ballots for the bylaws. Can you just mention how that's going to be done? Bylaw
For the 2 bylaw amendments. Okay, so on March 8th, there's an annual meeting up in Irvine, so the office is going to be closed, and the office team is going to go and have fun for a day. They're going to be treated to lunch, they're going to be treated to lots of entertainment, they're going to get their headshots. It's a fun-filled day for the office team.
This is the first service annual meeting.
Correct. And with regard to the upcoming two bylaw amendments that are coming out, they're going to be mailed out in two separate mailings. The first one will be mailed next week, and then the following one will be mailed on March 11th. And those ballots will all be due for the April 24th morning meeting, and the Inspector of Election will be here to tally all those ballots up as well.
So the key point is, there's two more voting things. They will be color-coded, so you will know that they're not the one you did vote on the candidates. They're color-coded, they'll have a color-coded envelope for it to go in, so it'll be easy for you to do, but they will come at separate times. So that basically when it comes, vote, and then when the next one comes, vote too, because they require different quorums. That's why they're separated. That way it doesn't destroy both votes. Roxanne?
Can I also add that they must go back in separate envelopes and
Right.
be either mailed, which you provide the stamps, the members will, or they can be brought the day of the 24th, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. But they have to go in separate, they can't be put in the same envelope to save on stamps.
It invalidates them if you put them in the same envelope. So there'll be a big thing in Hilltop Highlights talking about this. They're going to be in the e-blast talking about this, but that's what's coming forward. It was not included with the candidate ballot, so that the candidate ballot could go forward with no issue because it has a different quorum. Okay.
I had just a question for clarification on that. I read somewhere the additional cost for that.
There's none.
I thought there was for the mailing or something. Or doesn't the Inspector of Elections have to come for that?
We approved that last
Yeah,
month.
but you approved that last one. So
Yeah, I know, but is that the only additional cost? I
That's
just want
the
to make
only-
sure I have it in the budget.
$12.50 is the only additional cost.
Okay, thank you.
It's a miracle. Okay, Fernando. Sat here this long, we finally get to talk. So now it's time for your report. So let's take it in pieces. Okay, so everybody's read your report. So does anybody have anything they want to ask about the completed section?
Yes.
Peter?
I'm trying to track the cost of the Unit 2 slope, and I understand yesterday concrete's going to be poured for the...
Correct, it's getting poured today.
Yeah. Now, going back to the financials, I was going to ask this earlier. Is that cost going to be the concrete pouring cost, that expense, will that be in 24 reserves, or will that be accrued to 23?
Well, my question when I get there is to identify what is out of reserves so that I can track that. If it was budgeted in reserves for 2023 and the money is still in that area, then we can use that money.
So, refresh my memory, what was the total bid for the slope remediation? Do you remember?
Well, not off the top of my head, but ballpark. Those, I think it was like, I want to say 79,000, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
And I believe in the Unit 2 slope from 23, the expenses were 58,233.
Something like that, yeah.
So the concrete's going to go on top of the 58, and then any additional cost to complete the job?
No.
Okay.
So this is going in as bid, as contracted?
Correct.
In spite of the rain.
In spite of the rain, correct.
Anything else on completed items? Okay, now we're going to go to in progress. Does anybody have anything they want to ask about in progress?
I wanted to clarify or ask you to clarify which things are on the operating budget and which are to the reserves budget. I'm trying to track the reserve expenses by project this year on my own, so I'm getting confused, so thanks if you'll clarify.
For the in progress?
Yeah.
So the in progress, the Unit 2 slopes, reserves, parkway filling is coming out of also reserves. Who's this? The
parkway filling?
Yeah, of the rock. The red line is operating. And the two bids for the streets and the garages would be reserves.
Those are very nice. Could you, or will you, ask Simone, at least initially while I get used to this, when there's an invoice that's going in for something that's reserves, to send me a copy and just mark it reserves so that I can track project by project expense?
Isn't it going into the system under reserves, under the right GL?
It should.
Yeah.
I mean, we put the reserve GL on there, but somehow they haven't been going in there. That she was, Ms. Lynn was explaining to me.
What hasn't been going in there? Can you explain?
The reserves, the invoices, so we put them under reserves, but when they get paid and done at first service, somehow Ms. Lynn said that they were going in the right area, so she wants to go back and check all the reserves for 2023.
Marisa, is this because we were paying out of that contingency fund, but we're no longer doing that? So now it has its own bank account, and so we should be able to see anything in there.
Okay.
Since I've been treasurer, I've kept a copy, and that's just what I'm asking for, of all of the reserve expenses. So when people ask, what are we spending in reserves, is everything allowable? Here's by line item, here's a copy of all of
You can't see that in the
invoices.
financials? You can't see that in
No,
the
I
system?
can't see it, not when it goes into reserves, at least I haven't been able to, so I'm just asking for a copy.
Marisa, is she able to see that in the system?
Sure.
Okay, so she can't go into a system somewhere and see it. It's something you have to provide, correct? All right. Okay, anybody else have, I have one thing. Anybody else in here? Okay, so, question for you, Fernando, on parkways. Is this all parkways we're targeting here?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Right.
And the bids for number 4 and number 5, those are going to come in March then?
Yes.
Okay, all right, correct. And I think actually what Lynn asked is really good, that if you could in this section in progress, you just put reserves or operating by it. I think that'll help a lot.
Okay.
All right, any other on that?
I have one more.
Pardon?
Got the red line restriping or repainting. I understand their decisions based upon the fire department, correct?
Correct.
But we're going to run into the same issue that Mr. Wendt referred to throughout the community. Is there any appeal process, or can we?
Pretty much the fire marshal, he decides what they need in clearance for, emergency vehicles. It's really up to them. It's not something that we can fight them on, but we can go back and say, hey, there's minimal parking, see if they'll change their mind, but it's really, really hard to get them to change their mind because they're thinking about the safety part and getting to an emergency as soon as possible.
Create turmoil throughout the association.
But clarification, Fernando, you only draw the red lines where the fire marshal tells you to.
Correct.
It's not like
So
you're
he
drawing
gives
them
us
on
a
your own.
map. No, so we have a map of each unit, and they actually go out and mark the map of where they want the red lines, and that's what we have to follow.
Okay.
And one more comment too. I noticed this too in terms of people parking on Vista Campana South, and I'm assuming on Vista Campana North. There are a lot of problems with line of sight. Will line of sight meaning if you want to make a left turn or right turn, somebody's parked a huge truck there, you can't see to get out. So my question is, do their recommendations for red line striping take line of sight into account?
They do, but Vista Campana North and South is city-owned, so they have to do what the city does, what they want with them. It has nothing to do with the inside or inner streets.
Any line of sight issues on Vista Campana North and South have to be brought to the city.
Correct.
Okay, and then Fernando, you want to talk about the work order? Well, I guess you'll, anybody have any questions on the work order report that we received? Which, sorry, I skipped ahead, and then I'll go back, which is on pages 44 and 45. Does anybody have a question? Karen?
So Fernando, when you have this report, my question was, is it generated from the homeowners going onto the Connect site, putting in the work orders, and then sending in a request?
It's all the work orders that we put in. Either they do it themselves or the ones that come in paper and we put them in for them.
And I just want to point out in this report that this was enlightening to me about like how many there were, what the average issue resolution in days is. That was quite good, 4 days. Prior month it was 11 days, so that, you know, I see signed improvements there for sure. So I think that I feel better about the work order process, and I know you guys are reading internally too to make sure you're moving them forward, so thank you. Any others? Okay, and the last thing, sorry, we have to go back one, is the sewer cleanout. So everybody remember what this is? This is to go through all the sewers everywhere. So does anybody have any questions here? Kelly?
Yeah, should we contract this out, is my question, because it seems like if we take one tech, and it's gonna take, I forget how many months it says, not only is it a slow-going process, but if we need to use that tech for something else, we could just, I mean, this is not, for a plumber, it's not complicated work. I'm sure we could get a vendor reasonably.
I had a couple guys, I spoke to a couple plumbers, and their average cost is between $350 to $250 a sewer line, just to cam it and not cam it, but just to snake it. For a cam, it's $500 each sewer line. So if you multiply 500 times 932, they won't drop the fee on the cam. They will drop a little bit on the snaking part, but it's still going to cost us more money than it's worth.
So how much money?
Right, and so there's no bulk rate. I mean, plumbers do usually say, okay, it would be like a contract work.
Yeah, well, we would have to get a whole bulk forum, but like I said, it's between $250 to $300 a line. That's what they said. So there, I mean, I can have them come out and give a whole bid and get an actual number for you guys.
So it'd be like $250,000?
It could be.
It's probably worth asking though, right? A bid, get a bid?
Well, my second question would be, does First Service have such somebody that does this type of work for lower than what Fernando is currently saying?
I don't know if it's lower, but yes, we have plenty of vendors that do this type of work, and we can get you bids to do the entire community so that you guys can take a look at it, because the question should be answered, should it be subbed out?
Right, so get bids on this to see like what we're talking, because we also have a person that's basically full-time doing this, right? 1 day a week, so. And it takes 2 years.
A week out of a month. So it's going to be a whole week. It's not going to be 1 day out of the week. It's going to be a whole week that's all they're
Each month.
Each month.
Right. Okay, Roxanne? Evelyn?
No questions.
Karen? I have 3 questions. They're all sort of related to this, since I'm the problem child here for this one, but is there a sequence like known issues first?
There are homes that we have noted that have more problems than others.
Right.
And some of them actually, they can be permalined, and they weren't being able to be permalined because of the turns and how the length of it. And then they go into the city part of the street. So those are the ones where we would think of getting them contracted out and get them just replaced with ABS. And then from there we would start, by unit. So we would say we can start at unit 14 and work backwards, or we can start from unit 1 and work forwards, and just do them unit by unit.
So you're thinking maybe we contract out the places where we know we have issues, correct?
No, I think we can do those ourselves. The ones that we would contract out is doing unit by unit.
Okay, but we would do the ones like the lady in Unit 5 that had the
5.
issue. That's an issue that always has a problem, right? So are you saying we would do that and then maybe contract out the
rest.
remainder? Okay. And can we have it that you report to the board each month on this? So
No
we
problem.
add that here, because I think this is important for, if you've ever gotten a phone call on a Sunday night, you know what I'm talking about. Peter?
Yeah, this is, it's good we're having this discussion. I think I've mentioned numerous times over the past 2 years that we don't have enough people working in maintenance. This is an organizational structure issue, and I would defer to First Service to look at this. The idea of having to bid out a job that we can do internally seems to me kind of silly, and it's going to be far more expensive. And plus the fact you've got maintenance technicians setting up chairs, being pulled off jobs. And what is your current staff now? 6?
Total of 6.
6.
That's including myself with someone.
6 for 932 homes is ridiculous.
Lynn?
I was going to suggest that as we're looking into costs, we look into if we brought on another staff to do this either as a temporary basis or, I mean, if we had additional staffing to do this somehow, what the cost of that would be so that we could compare doing it ourselves as it is, bringing in somebody to do it, or paying someone else. It may be that it pays for itself to have that additional person on. And then I just wanted to clarify, we're talking about the cost and time here of simply finding the problems, not fixing any that we find. Is that correct?
No, this is just to clear them out. This is like if they had roots or anything in there to clear them out, you know, for the full year. This is not correct. This is not, if there's a break in the line, this is not to repair the line or anything like that. This is just to do a clean out.
Okay.
Now, it will be faster if we bend it out because they have more staff members and they have more machines. In-house, we have one snake, one camera, and that's what we got. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't think we have anything else, so Fernando, thank you. Thank you. Go back to work now?
Thank you.
Oh, painting, you should stay. Okay, so now we're gonna go to Unit 12, painting. Everybody's read this, so what I'd like to propose is that we talk about paint agreement first, then paint authorization, and then do the motion. Are you guys good with that? Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is talk paint agreement, so that's page 48, 49. Let's see, Roxanne, do you have anything on those two?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, Evelyn?
No.
Karen, probably not.
Well, I just want to thank the staff, Fernando, Simone, and Aiden, who gave input, as well as the homeowners in Unit 12 who worked through May.
I have two questions on paint agreement. So if you go under the very first part, all homes must agree on stucco color. Homes can have different trim. If homeowners select different trim colors, the fascia board is white. It's on attached homes. So how is this done should be in here. Okay, so when I had my house painted, they said, you all have to agree. I said, well, how do we do that? So, like, do we submit it, and if there's a discrepancy, or in my case, the two guys next door could have cared less, and we all got painted what I selected, and it worked great for me as a person, but, you know, the homeowners didn't care. But I think we need to specify in here, if you're an attached home, how this process works. But because in my case, it was, if y'all don't come with it, somebody decides, and that's sort of, you know, how it needs to be added here. I know attached houses are a pain.
Well,
So I think that needs to be in here, how.
I would love for you to come up with a recommendation on how you get homeowners to agree. That would be great.
Well, no, I think if they don't agree, so it's like, so do they fill out a form and says, the three of us agree with this, and this is the color we're gonna do our stucco? Is that in this? And then if they don't agree, then it has to escalate somehow.
Is this all connected homes?
Yes, you see that section that says attached home at the very top?
Okay,
Yeah. So this is the curse of being in an attached home. This is a difficult thing to do. And you're lucky if you and all your neighbors agree. So I'm happy to give you my suggestion, but you want me to give it to you now? Well, you have to amend this to include that. Okay, so I will give you a suggestion. You guys want to talk about my suggestions, are you good?
Well, I'm willing to hear your suggestion, but then my question is, if there's disagreements, why do they all have to be the same? I mean...
Because we're attached.
Well, no, I understand that, but if you look at how painting can be done, they can divide that. It would be an additional cost because it costs extra. But as long as it all blends, I don't think it would look bad.
So the three colors we had, it would look like a zoo. And so we can have different shutter colors, and that people did do that. But the base color, because our houses literally are one giant wall, there's no separation.
Can I clarify that? I think the guidelines for that were set by the architectural committee. So if it was to be changed, it'd have to go to committee.
Okay. So I think the real thing for this agreement is that how it's decided. So
flip a coin.
No, really. So I mean, I think we can easily say we should put a thing in here. Do your neighbors agree with this paint selection? Yes. If your neighbors don't, you say no, and then somebody, to be named, management, gets together with them and you figure out what color you're going to get. Because you have to solve that problem.
And you'll see at the top, right underneath their name and email, it says attached home, yes or no. So that would give the maintenance people the opportunity to work on that. Make
Could
sure.
we,
Right, but I think if you ask the homeowner, do you and your attached homeowners agree? If they put yes, then it's easy to verify, right? You look at those 3 houses and you're done. If they put no, then somebody has to get with them and figure out what color. So if we can add that in here, that'd be great, that solves that. And then my other one was, okay, so the list here was the homeowner responsibility. I wish Fernando was here because this was something, when my house was painted, the side was repaired by the association, but the back was not, because in 1966, somebody enclosed the lanai. So that's not considered HOA responsibility. But it was really unclear to me because I got a letter that says you don't have to do any repair, and then I did after they painted.
One thing Fernando told me, and I don't know if this really happened yet, he is to walk all 98 homes with the contractor. They are to come up with a proposal of what would be done or not, and the homeowner has the opportunity to ask the questions then. My neighbor went down yesterday, there was no proposal for any work, so I don't know if that didn't happen or she just didn't need any work, whatever, so that's something I need to work with Marisa on. This afternoon we have an appointment.
Okay, so homeowner responsibility, they're gonna get something strictly for their house, is that correct? So actually we should put that in here. You know, I have received the instructions for my house or whatever, so. Okay, great. Peter? Lynn?
no.
I think we already been this way. You have something, Roxanne?
Yeah, I just had a question on the carports extended patio cover about the ceilings, and my recollection was that we had a motion regarding that in Unit 11, where that came up, where some had been, their ceilings had been painted in previous years, and then this year they weren't. Yeah, so has that changed now again with this document?
When I worked with Fernando, it was if you have a carport, they will paint the posts and the ceiling within the carport. So
Well-
that's on the front.
But that says homeowner responsibility, the painting, the posts and the ceiling.
It's on the front page has everything that HOA does, and the back page has the homeowner responsibility. So if I got it in the same.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, that was my error.
Yeah, the homeowner is
Okay.
responsible for the repair.
Okay, I'm
On the
sorry, yeah,
interior.
my
Okay.
mistake.
Anybody else?
Just a clarification, I want to make sure my understanding is correct. Maintenance department, Fernando and his team have a packet that the homeowner fills out, and that's what they use for getting the work done. This agreement is in addition to that, in that this documents what the homeowner requested, and this goes on file, so if we have problems down the road, we have documentation of what the homeowner wanted or didn't want, and what we actually did.
And
So-
Lynn had a great recommendation that the homeowner initial each of these items to make sure that they got it straight. And this would go with Fernando. So yesterday, Melody goes down, she gets the piece, well, she didn't even get the piece of paper. Fernando filled out the colors and kept the sheet. So she came back to the house, she said, I don't know what I'm doing here.
So am I understanding this correctly, we're doing paint selection for Unit 12 without using approved forms?
Well, Fernando has used this form which had been approved before, so he.
This form?
No, his own form.
Okay, so Marisa, why are we doing homeowner painting approval when the board has not approved the form?
They're not using that form, no backtrack for that.
That's my question.
Yeah, they're gonna backtrack because what Fernando already had it scheduled to meet with some people, but he's gonna have to go back and backtrack with this additional copy.
So we're gonna make sure that happens, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody else on paint agreement?
Yes.
Peter?
This is a hypothetical based upon a real situation in the Unit 11 rental home. Rot in beams. Is that house going to be painted or not painted until the repairs are done? In other words, it'll be potentially excluded from the final completion of the painting of the unit.
It's something that Marisa could work with Fernando on. We did have that situation where the HOA had to go in and repair the termite damage that the homeowner refused to do, and then the homeowner was billed that amount. So when Fernando and the contractor walk around, create the proposal of what needs to be fixed, we're going to expect the homeowner to sign off on that and follow up.
But what if the homeowner doesn't, is my question. Do we want to assume that financial burden to paint the house with an outstanding bill for repairs?
It's their responsibility in the CC&Rs to maintain the home, and if there's any damage to that, if in this case, when the termite posts weren't fixed, that means the roof comes down, means the house falls apart, and the HOA then gets a bill for.
But as we well know, some renters or some homeowners who rent don't really care as long as they get the rent check.
Peter, the association has the ability to make the determination, provided that you let the homeowner know, here's what your cost is, here's your timeline, we need to know by this date. If you pass that date and you haven't provided the decision as to whether or not you're going to pay for it or not, and if it's detrimental to the project and must be done, the association has the authority to go in, get it done, and then bill the homeowner. And so you do it by way of a hearing, and then because it's a maintenance repair requirement, and your documents do allow for that. So the association pays for the cost up front, but then during a hearing, the homeowner's account is assessed.
So with this paperwork, we're basically saying they didn't sign a paint agreement, right?
Correct.
And so if they don't sign one, then we go into that process, is that correct?
The only problem with the process is because you have to have a hearing, the homeowner has to have the ability, so it may hang up, or the worst thing is it will increase your costs for the project to get it done if there's delays, because then you'll have re-setup times.
All right, now can we move to painting authorization? Does anybody have any comments on that? I just have a question. I don't understand why this is here if they've already done the agreement. Is this something, I couldn't quite get what was different about this.
This authorization was sent, you'll notice, to off-site homeowners.
Oh.
So they're to the landlords, to let the landlord know if you aren't the homeowner and you have a renter, that this is the situation. And basically, it's, again, it talks about attached homes, so we'd have to add that information in there. And that once you select the color, and it goes into the project, that's it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see the off-site homeowners, so that makes sense. Anybody have anything on authorization? Okay, you want to make your motion, team?
Sure. The motion is, it's on page 47 at the bottom. During the painting of a unit, homeowners choose the color scheme for their homes. If a homeowner changes their mind once the selections are submitted to the contractor, the homeowner will need to sign a change order for each change and pay $250 prior to the painting of the home. No changes will be accepted within 2 weeks of the scheduled painting in that section of the unit.
Second.
All right, so we have a second. Comments, Peter? No. Lynn?
No.
Kelly? No. Kelly, did you say no? I'm sorry, I can't hear your head nod. If I did, we'd actually be more scared. Roxanne?
No.
Evelyn?
No.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions. Is $250, is that enough?
It's the number that Fernando and Simone advised. We discussed different numbers. That's the one that they thought would be reasonable at that point.
So basically, from the time you select to the 2 weeks before, this is what you would get charged for each time you changed it?
Right, and just so people know, it's because the homeowner already bought paint in bulk.
Right.
You change your money, he's got to go out and buy it retail.
Is 2 weeks enough?
Well, in Unit 11, we had a homeowner change your mind the day before the painter was around.
Right,
So
but then the 2 weeks plan would be,
he
would
said
be no,
yes.
right?
So this will be the first time they try this, and he thought that 2 weeks would be reasonable.
Yeah, my question is that for the vendor, is 2 weeks enough, not the homeowner?
Yes,
Okay.
he anticipates it is, but again, it's a trial.
Okay.
Then I have a question on that. If there's a $250 charge for changing the paint color, should we expect that additional $250 billed to us by the vendor?
No, it'd be billed to us by the HOA because the change order would have to go through the office, so Fernando would be in charge of that. And the homeowner would have to pay it prior to the painting.
No, I know, but that 250 isn't coming to us as revenue. It's an additional cost that the painter is charging, am I correct?
I'm not sure, I think it would go to the HOA this year because there were no change orders in the AF general contract. So hopefully what this does is reduce the cost of the next painting projects when the contractors, whoever they may be, know that there's a change order fee.
So we could say then that the $250 is to cover the cost of the additional paint in the new color,
Sure.
which the HOA would be purchasing and providing to the vendor. With that money, the vendor would not go out and buy it himself and charge us. It's still going to the project.
Yes, yes.
But I heard Karen say if they would be one, so let's say we have a vendor who does do charge orders, they would know that this is what we've got, what we do.
Okay.
Right, and in the next project, when they paint unit 14, maybe it's $450, I don't know.
We'll see how it works. But
Hang on, Kelly.
All right, I'm calling for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. We're on a roll today. Okay, 7-0-0. Great job, you guys. Thank you for getting this done. At last, Marisa, please start using this tomorrow. Okay, great. Okay, next is the rental policy report. Oh, this is me. Okay, so this is the form results. So this is the annual that you have to say this is your address, and also you have to say whether you rent or owner occupied. We have 695 owners. Only 327 people have returned the form. So 368 people have not done this compliance that they need to do. We know that 237 homeowners have reported that they have rentals. Only 98 have turned in their forms. So there are 139 of known owners that rent that have been, notice the stress on known, because I'm pretty sure there are people renting their homes that haven't told us. So basically 507 homeowners are going to get compliance letters that should go out by the end of next week. I confirmed with First Service there's no other charge to that. This leads us to the second part. So the whole point of this project is to make sure we're within the limitations of rentals. So we are allowed to have 233 rentals based on the 2020 CC&R change that occurred. So no new rentals can be made from this point forward. And it also needs to be in the escrow documents, that when you buy a house, you cannot rent the house. You cannot do that until we go below that 233, because we're already 4 above, and that's just with the people who told us they're renting. But the hope is when we get all these forms back, then we'll actually know who's renting. So my first motion is for management to ensure no new rentals are allowed at this time, and that it's in the escrow documentation and the policy of the office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Peter, second. Anybody want to talk about that? All in favor? Oh, sorry.
I have a question. We already have included in the escrow documents the policy on rentals. Can this just be added to that policy where it says current status as of such and such a date?
Versus putting nodding your head yes. So.
Okay, so that will, we don't have any, and we just know we have to update that every 90 days or something.
Right. I mean, this is going to be this way for a while because it's going to be a long while before we actually know where we are. Any other questions on that? Okay, all in favor of this policy? 7-0-0. Second motion, as per OCA violations policy, management must issue the second courtesy letter for those homes where no form has been submitted 15 days after the initial letter. If no form has been submitted, after 30 days from the issuance of the second letter, the owner is called to a hearing. This is our policy. So this is the process to get the forms. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Peter?
Yes. Out-of-state landlord.
They get it in the mail?
They get it in the mail. They're not going to show up.
Then they'll get a fine.
Yeah, well, is this the way the process has to work?
Yes.
By law?
Legally, because you have to have a hearing and then you find them and they have to abide by it. When they purchased the home, they saw the CC&Rs, they signed off that they would abide by it. So, and your violation fine policy is also included in that.
I don't know, it's discouraging to think how how far into the future we're going to have to be chasing people.
Well, hopefully when they get the letter, that'll be the reminder, because it's a courtesy letter. And then if in 2 weeks we haven't got it, they haven't called, they haven't told us anything, then they get the, okay, here's your second one. And then they have 30 days for there. And at that point, then they're called to a hearing. So hopefully we go from 507 to 5. Hopefully.
Do we have to take a vote or something on that today?
Yeah, this is the motion.
Can we just stop at they're getting letters next week and then address it after that?
No, this is the policy. We actually have to adhere to the policy. This is our violation policy.
So it's our policy, it's not something that's in the CCNRs or anything? Or is it in there?
It is.
Okay.
Under compliance, yeah.
Can,
Actually, Kelly's next, sir.
Go ahead, come back.
Quick question. When we send out our courtesy letters, are we also including the documentation we need for them to give us that information?
We should definitely do that.
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna put in here, this one's only about the second letter, so I'm sorry. I can't change it, but you got that, Risa?
With the digital age, can we also allow a Zoom meeting with them? So if they don't want to come in?
If we do that.
We could include that in the letter?
Well, we always say, you know, are you talking about the hearing?
Yeah, if they have a hearing.
Yeah, if we get to the hearing, then we ask them if they're gonna be there, and then. there's a
Yeah,
person.
and the homeowner has a duty to let the board know, I'm not available, and by the way, I want a special accommodation, I want to have a Zoom meeting, but they have to let you know.
So there is that accommodation, thanks.
Evelyn?
Nothing.
Karen? Okay, calling for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. 700. And last but not least, you gave this project to Dan and I. He left town. So the motion is to have me finish this project for service. Do I have a second? Karen?
to do what?
To finish this project, the rental project. I'm like 5 months into it. But there's a lot of,
Once you're off the board, you'll still finish it,
correct.
but you're going to be on
You
the
need
board,
to talk,
so it doesn't
you
matter.
need to talk in the microphone. Yeah, so, yeah, the whole point of this is that I don't have to drink, because there's all this stuff that we've decided, right? And so it's like, and it's really, it's more Marisa than it is me, but it's just to make sure that this continues, and I'll give you a report once a month if I'm not on the board. Any other discussion?
Yeah. I need educational update on this, how this is going to work. Because I'm aware of realtors having cash buyers and the property gets turned over to a potential flipper off market. How are we going to ensure that the flipper and/or the potential future buyer, if there is one, gets this information about rental?
So they get this in their escrow documentation. Now,
Correct.
we can't make them read it, but they do get this information, so we have a legal stance if that happens. We actually have this situation today. And so, it's complicated, but we have legal, because this was in your escrow documentation. So this is an issue for the community, because we know we have more than 237 rentals. We know we do. The whole point of this project is for us to say, we have 259.
And Peter, let's think about the hypothetical. So it happens. So a flipper comes in, pays cash, gets a home, is ignoring all the CCNRs, ignoring the policies of the board, and they decide to sell it to somebody, and they give them the concept that, yeah, you can rent it out, whatever, but not following what their papers are in escrow.
Correct.
So what we have to do at that point is we go back, there's a new homeowner in the home, and they're renting it out, and then they say, well, I'm sorry, I was told that I was able to rent it out. And what we tell them, well, that's not in your escrow documents, and your issue is with the individual that sold you the home. So we direct the new homeowner back to the person that they purchased the home from, and that's their legal recourse, is to go to them. In the meantime, they have to follow what the association and the board's policy is on the rentals.
I get that, but I want to make sure that we've done everything we can to shut the door on this happening in the future, because otherwise, when this does happen, and it will happen in the future, that we're not left in the position where we've got more rentals, and then you say to somebody who wants to come in, or somebody who is a homeowner here and wants to rent their property, no, you can't rent because we've exceeded the limit for rentals.
Yeah, and that is going to happen. You are going to have these issues. Just embrace the fact that people, they don't follow policy. So expect it. But what you're going to do for those people that are coming in is you're going to let them know the board is following the violation fine policy to make sure that those people that don't have the ability to rent are reversing that. For the new people, I mean, that's just the answer. And the board to be able to get through that whole process, it takes time.
And I want to remind you, because we talked about this last month, is that once we know who all the renters are, and once we get all the rental agreements to make sure they adhere to the CC&Rs, the CC&Rs are super clear about what's supposed to occur here. So once we verify that, then we know exactly how many renters we have. If you're a grandfather person, you can come in and out of the pool, but every month we got to know what the pool is. So let's say it's 233, and then a grandfather person wants to come in. It could be 234, but the next person who comes in, if they're not grandfathered, the answer is no. And that has to be monitored every month to see who's coming in, who's coming out. First Service has the ability to track that once we get all that. That's why this is a long project. Because first we got to get the forms, then we got to put it in the system, and then we have to have the person adhering to this every month. Okay, any new rentals, any requests, who's on the wait list, that has to be maintained. But right now it's in a file folder, and this is to get it out of the file folder.
Do we have a motion going, or are we just clarifying?
No, we have a motion.
And which one is it?
This is to have me complete the rental project.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is your motion.
This is my motion, and Karen seconded it.
I have a clarification for Peter. It seemed like so many months ago. It was June of 2022. That board actually created the Welcome New Homeowner Letter, which is part of the escrow documents, and that it talks about architectural modifications, and the section number 2 is rentals. Can I rent out my home? And that was specifically designed to go above and beyond the CC&Rs for the people who wouldn't read that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can we be proactive and we get a request for escrow documents, or it comes in, and that indicates who the realtor is? Can we send a letter at that point to the realtor stating, we've received your request for documents, looking forward to new homeowner, hope this works. As a reminder, we cannot rent homes at this time. Please make sure that your buyer is aware of that. So we have then not only put it in the escrow documents, but we have sent it to the realtor. So if then there's a question, we can say, it's in the documents and we sent it to your realtor.
Doesn't the realtor get the escrow documents?
We know from past experience and issues that we're dealing with right now that to tell people that it was in the escrow documents just creates havoc. I'm trying to avoid our saying, well, it was in the escrow documents, they didn't know it, and so now we have a hassle. But it's just, we get maybe 5 to 10 requests a month to have a standard letter that we could send off, I think, in our interest.
The issue is that the realtor has no obligation to follow what you're doing in the escrow.
Yes.
So it's like falling on deaf ears. The real obligation goes to the homeowner who's selling. And there'll be a big letter. We can do a big letter that says, hey, you can't rent or do whatever. We'll just make it very clear in the escrow documents.
Make it yellow. Okay, anything else? Kelly? Roxanne? Ellen? Peter?
Yeah, the deceptive realtor who's selling, doing cash deals.
There's lots of them.
Yes, yeah. That was what my question was addressing.
All right, all in favor of the motion to have me finish this rental project before I die, raise your hand. 700. All right, thanks. All right, committee basics rollout. We don't have a handout here, but Peter, in the agenda is everything that you said. I would direct the board to start it in the middle, because there's like 3 things that can be motions that are changes, but where it says process followed to roll out the committee basics, this is what you propose, how it's done, correct? And what you said, it's in the agenda? So the motion to amend the committee basics is add the recommendation that any volunteer consider application, The second is consider an initiative to standardize communication. And the third is add a paragraph about dispute resolution. Those are the three things you want to do to change it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion from Peter, correct?
Yes.
Is to add a recommendation that any volunteer considering application to any committee attend a minimum of at least one meeting to ensure that they understand what committee does as per charter. The second part of the motion is the document, this is the committee basics, it's 3 documents, be considered an initiative to standardize committee function across the HOA and provide an educational tool for volunteers who must often get on-the-job training. And the third part of it is to add a paragraph about dispute resolution. Should several committee members not get along or a member has a conflict with the chairperson, how should these situations be resolved? And you are proposing that we should probably put that in this motion. Should they escalate it to the liaison for that committee? I mean,
No, essentially this is the third iteration of this committee basics document.
But what are you proposing that we add? You said add a paragraph about dispute resolution. What does the paragraph say?
My motion is let me rewrite for the third time this committee basics document and present it to the board for discussion at the next executive session, which I will not be part of.
Well, you can submit it to the board for their consideration at the end of March, but right now you're asking for a paragraph for the dispute resolution. So what will that paragraph say, or we need to strike it from the motion? Because it doesn't say what it's going to say. Maybe you got any idea?
Yeah, it will address any potential issue where committee members can't get along and/or somebody has difficulty with the chair or co-chair of the committee.
I get the problem, but what are you saying? What is how should they handle dispute resolution? If that happens, let's say that Karen and I are on a committee and we don't get along, what should they do?
I don't think we got that far into the weeds to come up with some ideas other than, like a statement, be kind to one another or be aware of code of conduct guidelines.
So do you want to strike this from your motion?
No, I think based upon my conversations with the committees that I spoke to, this was something that they wanted to see in the document.
I'm going to ask, does anybody Kelly, you have a suggestion?
If I remember right, there is a code of conduct for committees. So to me, a dispute resolution or an issue would revert back to the constant code of conduct that you're asked to abide by when you're on a committee.
In the committee guidelines? Because it's like 7 pages long, it's probably in there.
Yeah.
I don't have one with me, and that is actually part of the committee basics package. There's 3 components. There's committee basics overview, there's the minutes suggestion, and there's the committee policy and procedures. And that document, those 3 together equals committee basics. And so let's verify that it's in there.
I'm pretty positive it is, and I would also say that what we have to do is make sure that that's available to give to new committee members, because when they join a committee, they sign the volunteer waiver and they hand that in. They're not given a copy of that code of conduct, so they may not be aware of it. And whether we do that digitally or hard copy would be up to the individual.
Okay, so you guys okay if we take a pause on this voting so we can check the committee guidelines to see if it's there? Because then if it's there, we can it's part of the committee basics, and that's how we should refer them. And we can say that the committee basics should be given to any new volunteer in that committee. How about that? Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. There's also a correction within the process written here. I did not hand out the document at the facilities committee. Didn't get a chance to. So, but you're up for the next meeting, so you can do that there.
I did not know that.
Well, I sent an email with a report, but nevertheless, their next meeting is while you're still on the board, so you can do it then.
I will do it then.
Okay, so we're gonna look at it during break, and then we'll come back and we'll vote on this because we need to have it to have the second. So do we want to take a break? We have break. Okay, let's take a break. So we're gonna take 10 minutes till 11:15. Everybody find your seats. Okay.
Mine was never locked. Going on with Tracy? She cannot stay in.
The good news, bad news is that we found out there is no code of conduct in the committee guidelines. I think, Lynn, you have a proposal of maybe what would be good to put as part of this motion. You want to ask Peter if he'll put this in his motion?
Well, it seems to me that committees are run by Robert's Rule of Order, just like we are. The board we don't always agree on everything. We have disagreements, and we work it out according to Robert's Rules of Order, and if we can't come to an agreement, then we take it to the homeowners. Committees should be able to work through their disagreements. If there's one that stops their recommendation, then they can refer to the board and say, we discussed such and such an issue, unable to reach consensus. Here are the points, and then send it to the board along with their minutes, and we take.
No, this is when they have an issue with another board member or the committee chair. That's what this is talking about.
Oh, I thought it was over making a decision.
No.
Oh,
No.
a personality one?
Yes.
So I believe what I heard you say, let me see what I heard you say, is that you try to work it out with the person, and if you can't, you take it to the board, which you would do through your liaison.
No, the feedback I got from committees, or from the people I talked to, was if two committee members have a dispute, and it's a personality dispute, they try and work it out. If they can't, the committee chairperson would try and be a
Right.
therapist.
And now what if the problem is the committee chair?
Excuse me?
What if the problem is the committee chair?
Well, then I think it knocks up to the board level.
Okay, so how would you amend your motion to say, dispute resolution is handled by?
Well, just in talking with Evelyn, who informed me that there is no code of conduct in the committee-based, the committee documents.
The committee guidelines, yes.
Yeah, dispute resolution, it could be something as simple as a phrase, dispute resolution, referred to code of conduct.
But there is no code of conduct, so we can't do that.
Well, then we add our board code of conduct.
Well, but that's, no, we have to tell them what to do. If you have an issue with another committee member and you can't work it out with them, go to the committee chair.
Okay.
If the committee chair can't fix the problem, or if the issue is with the committee chair, escalate to your liaison. Will you amend it to say that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You got it, Nina, what I asked? Okay. Anybody want to talk about it anymore? Go ahead, Evelyn.
I think you're going to say something.
My suggestion was for the new board next, for strategic planning, maybe that would become one of our goals, to create a code of conduct for the committees.
I'm sorry, I just sort of think it's like be an adult, and if it doesn't work, take it to mom and dad.
Yeah, but we have a code of conduct for the board of directors. Look how many times that's been challenged.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, the code of conduct for the board of directors is very clear.
But that's what I think she's saying. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I hear you. That's what you want to spend your energies on, yeah.
I think it would be essential and very important, because we have a lot of volunteers that spend their time and effort on these committees, and sometimes they have to make big decisions and bring them to the board. Sometimes they have disagreements, personality issues. And I think if we have a guideline of code of conduct like the board has, for example, we're leading this, that we should expect our committees to follow suit.
Okay, so then, all right, you're proposing that we strike this from the motion today, is that correct?
No, I didn't say that.
So you're saying to change it to say...
I'm saying that maybe that's something the new board can pick up, and that can be part of their strategic planning.
Dispute resolution to be forwarded to the next board to resolve.
To create a code of conduct for committees.
Okay.
No, I think she's just making that as a suggestion, not as a motion, am I correct?
No, she's saying to change his motion.
No, I'm making that as a suggestion so that we can move this forward.
Okay.
So you're saying to not amend the motion, is that correct? There are three parts to this motion. The volunteer...
Okay, if Peter agrees to this, add a paragraph about dispute resolution and the 2024 board can create make that part of their strategic planning to create a code of conduct for committees.
Peter, are you good with that?
No disrespect intended, Evelyn, but I think we're micromanaging and we're reinventing the wheel. I don't know. As I said originally, I'd like to rewrite the revise the document again to include 1 and 2, and then as far as dispute resolution, if committee members have an issue with one another, they need to work it out. If a committee member has an issue with the chair or co-chair, it needs to be bumped up to the board. For all other matters, refer to the code of conduct. And
That we don't have.
We don't have a code of conduct for committees.
yeah, but why can't we use the board of directors?
The board of directors code of conduct is a great sample, but it deals specifically with board members, so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's real simple to change that to.
Okay, what's the motion? What do you want to put in here? I mean, really, so we can vote on it and move on.
Well, at this point, but my thinking about this is muddled.
Do you want to strike this from it, or?
No, I don't want to strike it. I want to put it to bed. I mean, you know, this is not something that has to drag on forever.
Well, then what do you want the motion to say there?
I'd like to, the the committee basics document needs to be revised with the suggested amendments that came out of discussions with the committees.
That's correct. Add a recommendation and a volunteer considering application come to one meeting, that it should be considered an initiative to standardize committee, and then something about dispute resolution. These were the 3 things that you said should be done.
Yes.
So on dispute resolution, do you want to say, create a code of conduct to, for committees for dispute resolution?
Sure.
Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, good. Got it, Nina? All right. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. We're on a roll. Okay, it's 700. Oh, we need a second. Somebody second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, next up, ad hoc common area modifications rollout plan. Evelyn, Lynn, and Roxanne. So everybody should have read what they sent us. This is just your plan. This is not that you did anything. This is just your thoughts around the plan, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Comments? Who wants to go first? Karen? You don't have any comments? Oh, okay. You okay? Okay, I just have one question. On the second page of what you said, actually I have 2 things. On the second page of what you said the Common Area Modification Committee, 2 board members, so are you saying the 3 of you aren't going to do this? It's at the bottom of the second page of what you gave us. Under Common Area Modification Committee, 2 landscape, 2 architecture, 2 board liaisons, the landscape and the general manager, facilities manager. So are you saying one of you is not going to be participating in this? Okay, there's 3 of you.
Yeah, I would say it really only needs 2.
So this should be the 2024, 25,
Yeah.
one of them, right?
I'm guessing at least one of us would be involved in it because we've been with it for quite a long time, but not necessarily all 3 of us.
Well, the 3 of you were assigned to do this ad hoc.
Correct.
With these members, and
Right.
now you're saying you want to restructure it to be these liaisons instead of the 3 of you. And that the 2024-25 board will decide which
Yes.
liaison are going to be on this committee, correct?
I would say that. What about the other 2? Lynn, Evelyn?
It was my understanding that 3 of us worked together on the ad hoc committee, and then when it comes to the rollout plan, that it would be the 2 board liaisons, one for the architecture committee and one for the landscaping committee that will move forward with this.
You're saying to create a common area modification committee, another committee, that the ad hoc would birth another committee?
I don't know if it's create another committee. I feel like It's an extension of the committee we worked on very extensively this past year. And there's still some areas that need to be worked on. So it would be a continuation.
Okay, so this is your rollout plan. And this says, where does it belong? So your thoughts currently are landscape here, architecture here, maybe a combination of both, a subcommittee. Then you have yet another committee on here, and you're defining this is how it goes. So maybe you remove this from the rollout plan until you meet with the committees and you knock out this section, because then it becomes obvious who should be there, right? So if they all decide we should have a subcommittee that's made up of architecture and landscape, if that's what the consensus of the ad hoc committee is, then that basically answers this question, where does it belong? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think on that second page, where does it belong?
At the bottom.
Yeah, Evelyn, I think, put that in there so she can maybe answer it, but I think those were just our like, should it be in landscaping, should it be in this, or should there be a modification committee? It was more of a, what's the best way for this to progress forward?
And I think that would come out once they begin to meet and have these discussions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would just recommend that you take that, who's gonna be in that committee out of there until you decide where it's gonna be.
Okay, that's fine.
And then my other question is that, what's your plan for a first meeting of this prestigious group?
If I can interject here, it's my understanding that there was to be an ad hoc committee that was more than just the three of us.
Right.
And we met just to get an initial start and to say, what are our thoughts when we go into this first meeting?
Correct.
And then when we have that first meeting, actually how to roll it out, what to do, what the guidelines are, that will be developed there. So isn't it just still the same ad hoc committee? It's just that the three leaders have met to develop a preliminary amount, and now we'll get the rest of the members of the ad hoc
Right.
and move forward.
That's my question. When are you gonna have all the kids together? Because it's been just the three of you. And so this is your idea, so now you need to meet with the ad hoc that was created last month, and you need to start to talk this through, right?
Right.
So-
Well, I'm thinking this is gonna happen after we have a new board.
Well, we all understand that, but
Okay.
but everybody else doesn't change except you, and you guys aren't gonna change.
Let's say the beginning of April.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
And just so I'm clear, it is going to include members of the landscape and the architectural committee.
Yep.
So we need to, definitely wait for the new board to see if that changes anything. I think it's important that you also maintain a representative to, because it does need to eventually change some wording within the update of both the guidelines of architectural and landscape and CC&Rs. So we always need to be cognizant of that.
I think they went into pretty detail about that in this rollout plan.
I'm not sure that the information here is actually 100% correct, because if you're talking about CC&Rs and putting in like the form that was for the notary and for the release from liability, that should probably be in the CC&Rs, which to amend something like that would need a membership vote. And I think that needs to continually, like, we could put this on the ballot by next year, there we go, and color code it. And just, if that, and I'm not saying that's the direction that the committee should go, I'm just saying that if you're gonna do this, get a buy-in from all the members, because, and through the committees and through everything, and get that educational process going so that people are really aware of this.
So you're saying put the revocable license and maintenance agreement up for a vote, a legal document?
No, I'm saying that if it comes to fruition, that we're gonna put that as part of the guidelines for both landscaping and/or architectural, that if you want to include that into the CC&Rs to fully amend that, it should go to a membership vote.
If you want to include it in the CC&Rs.
Right, but I'm saying if it's going to be something that we want to really use, and we really believe in to get things like this accomplished and legally use it, I shouldn't say legally, I should say get it as common practice to use. I think you need that process of education and getting the membership buy-in.
Totally hear that, and I see that a lot.
Clarification?
And yeah.
That's exactly what our process is, Kelly. And the three of us met just to get an outline of a starting point, and then we will provide guidance and leadership to a group of homeowners and community members
Stop.
who will do that.
I understand that, what your process is. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying going forward, let's look at possibly getting this into every document possible, updating guidelines and CCNRs. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that wasn't your process. I'm just saying have it go forward with full membership participation by amending the CCNRs if warranted.
And I think that's in this plan, is to consider that.
On the first page, government guidelines, what will need to be amended.
Right. Okay, you want to add? Sorry, it was me and then it was you, Peter. Sorry, Kelly stepped in. Did you have anything you want to add? Lynn, any more?
No.
Okay, so Kelly, we did that. Roxanne, Evelyn, Karen. No. Okay, move that around.
So Sandy, can we just recap what the motion is?
I don't actually think we have a motion.
No.
This is just, this is their plan.
It's just a report.
And anything, and we sort of said, you know, what we think in the plan, you know. So there was just a couple changes and that was easy enough, so. Okay, next we're on to neighbor awareness, right?
Yes, that's me. So this form now has the edits and the updates that were requested from the January meeting, and it's up for your final approval.
So I'll just make the motion to approve the revised neighbor awareness form with edits from the January meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roxanne is the second. Discussion. Peter? No, I started with you a couple times. Kelly?
This does not do service to those of us with detached houses. Units 14, 12, 7, there is no reason for neighbor awareness when we're working within our own home. And I say this from past experience where I had new neighbors coming in, brand new neighbors. They gutted their house, they did improvements, same thing I did when I first moved in. And who are they gonna give this to? They went through the architectural process, but, and I know that, it's just paperwork, you can send it to the office, and it seems like busy work. I totally admit if they're gonna have a party wall and they're attached homes, it's a different story. But on the detached houses, I don't think that this does anything to assist anybody. It's just needless.
Roxanne?
Well, I guess, especially as we're rolling forward with modifications possibly to common areas, even though you're a single home, what you do, the tree you put up, the bush, the wall, does, the other person does have to look at it. We're not asking for approval, and they're using this type of form in even more stringent ways in almost every HOA that Marisa, works with, and I've been in. So I think it's really more of a common courtesy to let people know. I don't think it doesn't have to be done if it's working. You're gutting the inside of your house, that's totally different.
But it says to your property. If it only said common area, that's great. But it says right here, first paragraph, adjacent to your property of your proposed modifications, to your property of your proposed modifications. It doesn't say.
So it should maybe say to the exterior of your property.
To common area, sure.
Well, and I think even, if I'm putting up a purple awning, I think it's not getting people's permission, it's just letting them know that I'm going to be doing this.
It's an awareness. In all single-family home associations, they have this same form. And so if somebody's putting in an ADU or a JADU, or somebody's putting in a pool or anything to that degree, they still sign off on this neighbor awareness for the next door neighbors so that they're aware as far as what's going on.
We don't have to keep up with the Joneses. I'm just saying that if it says common area in here, I get it. But
So, Kelly, can you clarify? So if somebody's putting in awnings, so that's not common area. on their house, and it's sitting in the front of their house, in a single-family house, you don't think you should do an awareness form?
No. For
This isn't
For the
permission, this is
detached.
awareness.
No, I understand it's not permission, I understand all that. If it's a detached home and I'm putting in an awning, no.
Why is that
Nobody
different
needs to
from
know.
an attached home?
Well, if you share a common wall, I could see where if you put in an awning, it would possibly cause conflict with the adjoining window, which could belong to your neighbor. I get that. But in the architectural guidelines, if there's air conditioning put in, they measure it, and something like, I think it's 14 feet, I want to say, maybe it's 19 feet. But anyway, if it's something like 14 feet, they say, okay, get your neighbor's approval for this if it's within this many feet. Once it's over that footage, you don't have to. And so, okay, well, then why would it be any different? If I'm putting in an awning on my patio, all right, I'm not that close to my neighbor. And I understand it's an awareness, but it's not common area. Now, yes, if I'm going to take out all the grass in front of my house and I'm going to put in rock, yes, I need to let my neighbor be aware that that is my plan, and hopefully they'll join in and it will be a great neighborhood come together. But it doesn't specify common area for the detached homes. It says adjacent to your property of your proposed modifications. That is, I just don't agree with it. For detached homes.
Any more, Roxanne?
No.
Evelyn?
I can understand Kelly's argument, and that brought me back to when I first moved here into Oceana, and prior to this neighborhood awareness forum, where a resident in the community had required ADA modifications, and part of that ADA modifications went into the common area. And a couple of the neighbors got very upset and angry because of the aesthetics. I said it was ugly. And I think in that type of situation, you know, having this neighborhood awareness forum, giving it to their neighbors and having a conversation with them, saying that, you know, this is required for mobility purposes, just bringing you a notification and awareness of this. And it's not given, it's not asking for permission, it's just notifying them. I think it's a really good idea. And for example, I live in a home that has a shared party wall. And I understand your argument. If someone wanted to make modifications, I would expect my neighbor would have a conversation with me. But to have this on file and documented, and that once they go through the approval process, whether it's landscape or architectural, I think it's a really good idea. And Vista, did I say it correctly? Said this is common standard form that many associations use.
Karen?
Marisa, when we first made this form, it was going to be for landscape committee only, so we had Nina's name on top. So you may want to make it more general office. And if you can make it one page, that'd be nice.
I have no comment. Peter?
I'm going to take an interesting perspective on this. I think the only reason it makes sense to me is from a risk management standpoint in terms of warding off or having documentation and warding off potential neighbor conflicts that escalate into lawsuits. I can think of a hypothetical where somebody might want to put something too close to a neighbor's house or change the exterior of their house that might result in conflict. So from that perspective, making people aware of modifications does make some sense.
Lynn?
I'm wondering if I'm suggesting, in addition to taking Nina's off down here under phone, it says for landscape committee meeting, we might want to take landscape committee off there. The other, if we could change the word modification to project, then if you're doing a major project, I mean, it gets us out of that discussion of can we have a modification, do we not have a modification, and just any major project that we're doing. And then under note, if you feel comfortable contacting your neighbors, at the end of that sentence, then it says, I have been made aware of the proposed project. That sentence should be on its own because that's what they're signing, so you might want to just put acknowledgement, semicolon, and then that statement. So
So if you feel uncomfortable contacting your neighbors, comma, and then you're gonna go, I have been made aware of the proposed project?
yeah, because
You're signing here because you've been made
you're
aware of the project.
you're having the homeowner, the neighbor sign because they are aware of the proposed project. So that should be separate from this note that is to the,
Please indicate the specific house number and your modification. You just want to strike that.
no, I want to, here, this part right here, I have been made aware of the proposed project. That goes with the signatures. The note, if you feel uncomfortable contacting your neighbors, then the office would do it. That's to the person filling out the form. So drop that one sentence down, give it a heading of acknowledgement, semicolon, the statement, and then when the person signs or doesn't sign, that they know they're signing for the acknowledgement.
This is what Lynn asked for last month.
Well, and also the project, so the project and the line item is there, so. So you don't want this project line item?
I hadn't even really noticed that one. That's fine.
Yeah, that was what was
Yeah.
added.
I would just, everywhere it says modifications, I would say project.
Okay.
And then this needs to be a separate sentence. I can write it out for you.
Are we good? Anybody else want to talk? Okay.
Can I amend the motion to have it say for your proposed project to common area? Within the first sentence.
Okay, so I made this motion, and I don't think it should say that, because I think if you put it on your garage door, you should make your neighbors aware. That's my personal opinion, though, but that's the purpose of a motion, is basically if you change something that your neighbors can see, ask them to do an awareness form. That's the intent of my motion. If neighbors can't see it, who cares?
Well, then have it say that. If the neighbors can't see it, it doesn't apply.
Yeah, I mean, we could say the form advises neighbors adjacent to your property of your proposed modification that can be seen.
That are visible to your neighbors.
Visible to your neighbors. Would that work?
Yeah, let's do that.
What's the problem?
I'm just thinking of, like, for example, my next door neighbor and his patio, which has been there a long time. I'm not questioning that, but no.
Yeah, you just didn't have it in your mouth.
Oh, okay. No one can see that. No one can see that. Had somebody like that gone through to the proper channels to get something like that approved, nowadays, even though they can't see it, I think we have to be really careful, about saying that, because it maybe should be, it is still part of the common area, and
Right, but if they can't see it, why are you making them aware? And it shouldn't be approved if it's something that shouldn't be there. And if they don't take it for approval, that's,
Okay,
we can go down that road forever.
yeah, okay, I withdraw my statement, okay.
That's what I'm just thinking that, like,
Yeah, okay.
they probably never got permission for it, which is a whole other thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm not questioning that, I'm just saying, gosh, if we start, making a common area modification, even though people walking by on the sidewalk or the street don't see it, should it still be an awareness? Okay, I'll let it go.
The only time that you would make an awareness for something that you can't see is if it changes anything like drainage, anything to, that could affect another lot. That's why you have those items that you can't see, because you don't know, is it gonna change the footprint of the lot? Is it gonna change drainage? Is it gonna change something else?
Yeah, but drainage goes to the HOA once it's outside the footprint of the house. So so again, we're talking common area, but if we're going by visibility for the detached houses, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, all right. I'll go along with that.
Anybody else want to chat? Okay. So it's good to be approved, to approve the revised neighborhood awareness form with edits from January, including, and we're gonna, tell me, Marissa, what we're gonna.
We're removing modification and putting project everywhere where it says modification.
Right.
Nina is going to be removed, it's going to be the general email. The landscape committee, that's going to be removed as well. And then Lynn and I will work together on the notes section as far as moving, making that one sentence. I have been made aware of the proposed project as its own sentence.
And then the last change we just talked about, which is the first sentence. This form advises neighbors adjacent to your property of your proposed modification that are visible to your neighbors. Project. Thank you. Project that is visible to your neighbors. So if the guy in front of you can't see it, he doesn't have to sign an awareness form. Okay? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Gonna hurt you. Are you opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay. We were on a roll. 610.
I do appreciate the amendment, though. Let that be noted.
Should we talk about painting your own house?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, next is the Vista Bella mixed-use development. So Karen had her submitted on page 59. Does anybody have any comment?
Yes.
I have one too, so go ahead, Peter.
Several things. Does the BOD, speaking for the HOC, want to take a position on this?
The HOA?
HOA.
Or who's the HOC? My personal opinion is no. Every resident, like if we can get 932 homeowners to be screaming and shouting individually, sure. But we have taken the position, we assigned Karen so that we had somebody who was in discussion with the people that were doing this, so we made sure that everyone was aware here so they could go protest.
Well, this is a huge project and it's going to have impact on everyone who lives here. And there's significant concerns about this project. And I don't see why it's out of the question to at least raise the question as to whether the HOA wants to take a position on it and or write a letter stating concerns to both the Planning Commission, Oceanside Planning Commission, as well as the City Council. So, is there a consensus as to whether or not the board wants to take a position?
Well, I think the homeowners would like the board to take a position. And so the reason we assigned Karen was sort of understand what was going on so we could make it aware. But I think what I'm hearing you say is something more formal, which is we have someone, sort of like we did for the RV park, right? Someone who's in charge, who's going to keep communication going and say, okay, everybody's got to be at this meeting on this day, right?
Well, the way these things work is you said a lot of homeowners would like the board to take a position or the HOA to take a position. But unless we do something formally or decide something formally, it's not going to happen.
Clear.
And the project's going to get built. And then everybody's going to scream and yell and say, how did this happen?
The one clarification I have, Peter, is I've been in communication with Manny. He knows the board is interested in this. There is no project as of right now. There's the planning stage, and until Manny approves the project to go forward, you don't really, they may have made major changes to this project. We don't know until it comes out of, goes up for public hearing and more hearings. At that time, the board would definitely have specifics that they could work with.
If we want, speaking for the HOA, if the HOA wants to kill this project or modify this project in any way, you have to start now. The longer it hangs around, the more momentum it gathers. Plus you have developers who own the land. Something's going to get built there. And I'd rather be, speaking as a homeowner, I'd rather be involved in the planning process now and dictate what goes in, you know, to the degree I can, dictate what goes on there or what's built there, rather than, you know.
So do you have a motion to make, what you want to do?
I'm asking the board if the board wants to take a position. Yeah, my motion is I'd like the board to take a position, write a letter expressing concerns about this project in terms of traffic, slope failure, water runoff, blocking view, aesthetics, and overall height and density. All the concerns that were expressed at the meeting that they had down there a couple months ago.
Sandy, can we ask Marisa to give us she's got some insight?
So the project itself, it's still in the planning mode, right? It hasn't been finalized or whatever, because I think what you need to do is when they do the finalized project and I say, this is what it's going to look like, then you need to come up with a list of, here's the reason why we don't like it, boom, 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 boom. And then you need to go out to the community and say, hey, this project's getting built, and we, as a board and as an association, feel that these are going to be the cons of this project. And we would like to go on record with the city. I mean, like, what kind of changes? Right now, I think or Peter, is your position just to not have anything there? Because you'd have to wait to get the details to find out what the cons of that.
We've already attended a meeting, we've seen what they want to put there. We've asked questions as to density and height and parking, traffic, the whole 9 yards. So we already know what's going to go there. We know what they want to build. We've already gotten the excuses as to why they can't reduce the density, why the height has to be at the level that it is. And that's what they're going to push.
Then what I would recommend is the association just go on record, because you need to identify what the cons are with this project. And you need to go on record and you need to send a letter to the city.
So that was the that was the motion he just made. The board to take a position and communicate to the city planning and city council.
Yeah.
So we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, now we can have discussion.
And planning commission should be added into that.
I have that city planning and city council.
Commission, there's city planning
The
department, and
planning
there's a city
commission
planning
and the city.
advisory.
Evelyn?
No discussion.
Karen? Yeah, I agree. I think we should do it. And I think we need to designate who that is today.
And you need to identify, like, have a list. Did they give you like a traffic, study that they did for like all the traffic or whatever?
Yeah, they have to do a traffic study.
So it's not done yet? Because in your letter you could say.
Yeah, I think they actually did it, but there were questions about what time of day did they do it. Did they do it like on a Sunday morning? You know.
Yeah.
It's all projections.
So you need to come up with a list of here are our concerns, boom, boom, and we haven't seen the traffic study. We'd like to see that. What day was that done on? So those details, and that all should go in your letter to the city.
Question about timing. We don't ever sign anything as the board of directors unless all board of directors approve that. So is this something that, Peter, since you've worked in city before, you could come up with the draft of that to present for board approval in March?
Sure. But as I said earlier, time is of the essence here. The longer people think about this, the more momentum the project gets moving toward completion and, approval and completion.
So are we saying part of the motion is that Peter will develop a letter before he's off the board? And we can approve it, unless you want to leave it to the end of March.
Who are you asking?
I'm just putting it out there in the
Oh.
internet.
You're thinking out loud. Yes, I'll put together a letter.
I think we should just keep him on the board for a couple of months till he gets it done. Only kidding. I wanted to bring up an idea in past years. Oceana. This Oceana has been very successful in dealing with the city and getting things accomplished when they collaborated with other Oceanas. For example, the classification we have for some of our utility in terms of pricing was accomplished that way. We have an Oceana that's right down the street from us that would also be impacted by the traffic, the exits onto El Camino Real, those things. So I'd suggest that somebody contact their HOA and see if they might want to collaborate with us on this. You know, more associations, more impact. Just my suggestion.
Kelly?
Yes.
Has anybody done a petition? I don't know, I've heard homeowners talk, but I don't know.
You could do both. That was going to be my second motion in the event that people didn't like the first motion. Get a petition together.
So if we take a position and communicate to them and also do a petition?
It won't hurt, the more.
Well, more people become aware that way when you do it, right?
We could, if we could get one written, we could put it out at the annual meeting for people to sign.
There you go.
So you want to add petition to your motion? Create a petition? This is on your hit parade, so.
Yeah, and I'm going to defer to Karen to write the petition.
Karen's petitioned out.
Okay, Roxanne, anything? No. Okay, Evelyn, anything? I think we started with you. Okay, the only other question I have before we do this is, did you hear from Eric Joyce on this?
No, I did not.
But you did reach out to him, right?
No, I did not.
Oh?
Eric's having a town hall soon.
Okay, so I mean, this is one of the things we said last month to do because he likes seniors and he's our city council person and that we should.
And he likes us. He likes both Karen and myself.
Okay, so Peter, we're gonna put that in your hit parade. Okay, so the motion as I have it is for the board to take a position and communicate to the city planning commission and the council, Eric Joyce, putting that on there, and create a petition. Assign Peter Cornahan to put together the letter and petition fast. And we won't have to approve it, so we'll be Zooming. We could do it at the annual meeting. Oh, can we do that? Can we do any business at the annual meeting?
You can add it to the agenda.
Can we approve this? Okay, and we'll add it to the annual meeting. We don't have to have another one. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 700. Peter, you got your marching orders? Okay, so we're gonna do the vote on the letter at annual. Okay.
Since we'll be doing a final approval at the annual meeting, the petition is included in this, which we would like to have out at the annual meeting. Please, when you get your packet, read the petition, and if you have any comments on it, call Karen, and maybe.
No, Peter.
Or call Peter, and we can get the majority of those suggestions and ideas.
Okay, so Peter, if you could put the petition out, I don't think that's like rocket science.
Well, yeah, any homeowner can.
Yeah, petition. Yeah, just start the petition, put it on the table. Okay. Now we're on new business. So let's see, the Ad Hoc IT Committee, page 61. So everybody should have read this, and so comments. Let's see, Lynn?
Are you tracking page 60?
61.
Did we skip bylaw ballot? Or are we just going past that motion?
Yes, because it was there by mistake. There's no additional cost. That's why it was there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. This isn't one of my modify your agenda as. So. Okay, Lynn?
No, I don't have any comments on it.
Roxanne?
Nope.
No, sorry, Kelly. I'm looking at Kelly and I'm saying Roxanne.
The only question I have is it says guest presentation by Hotwire Communication I know that this was mentioned previously, but we have no info on them. Are they going to submit a contract or a bid?
No, the committee met with them initially. There's no follow-up at this point.
Roxanne, you said you didn't have anything, right? Evelyn?
I don't have anything.
Okay. I have just one question. Under Oceanside 5 or Cityside 5, this Anatolia HOA management, return to bulk internet, too many delays. So this is one of First Services accounts, is that correct?
This is one that Dan had researched before he left, and he had talked to the general manager there to find out why they had rescinded their contract, and that's what she said, and he sent us the info if we need to follow up more, but it was just the timing was taking too long.
Okay, so they had a lot of delays with them, is that what you're saying? Okay, all right. And so I think we talked about this the other day, the committee's not gonna do a proposal until the new board year, right? And you know that I can help with the Google form if you need it, right? Okay. Peter?
No.
I think I started with Lynn. Okay, we don't have a motion here, so we're just gonna move on. New webmaster and website update. So, I wrote a motion on this morning as I read it. So this is the minutes from a meeting that the Hub had. So as you all know, the Hub has been working like, I don't know, 6-8 months on the website. They want to do a whole redo of the website. We had to get First Service in here, see what goes into Connect, all of that. So we've sort of settled out what's going to go where, but what they would like to do is do a rebranding of the website. And this was in the budget for $1,000. They had looked at a whole bunch of vendors, and they came to Prime Media, which, by the way, their webmaster, his dad lives here. He was able to meet what we're doing with Mapleson Media at $175 an hour for 2 hours a month. They've agreed to do the $1,000 one-time setup fee for the rebranding. The surprise is that websites apparently need an ADA compliance now. So this is $500 a year. So this is an additional cost over what was in the budget. So and they went through a whole process of this. And I did talk to Marissa about if First Service, anybody they could recommend. She said she could go out and ask if anybody done this. This is not a regular First Service thing. And I said, do you think there'll be less than $1,000? She said, not likely. So that was the real question from that perspective. So my motion is this. So listen to the motion exactly, because this is one I want to vote on. To approve bringing on a new webmaster for no more than $1,000 startup, $500 annual ADA compliance, and 2 hours a month at $175 per person with a 30-day termination notice. That's my motion. Now I'm going to make these other notes because this could be part of something else. If Prime Media is selected, then the Hub needs to work on making the contract simpler because it's really complicated, down to 2 pages. Not guaranteed by any individual, but by the association. Have it reviewed by Krieger and bring it to the board for approval, targeting the March meeting for a May 1 start because everything would be delayed. So that's what I'm saying is if the Hub wants to continue with Prime Media, these are sort of the steps that we would recommend. But the motion is to approve bringing on a new webmaster. And these are the dollar amounts. And Lynn, I had asked you if we could find 500 somewhere.
That's what he said.
Well, I
Extra money if we want to change.
I hate that question.
Did you find 500 on the street today?
I honestly don't think it's a matter of can we find it. The ADA compliance is a requirement, and I'm aware of businesses who have been caught in that, and it's just a mess. So I don't know whether it would go under permits and licenses or professional services. We'd have to find out if that's like an annual certification.
It is an annual, so you
No,
don't.
I mean whether it's an annual service or whether it's a license or something. I can find out which category it goes in, and then we're going to have to just put it in the right one and then budget in the future.
And one of the things I want to specify is that Mapleson Media knew nothing about ADA compliance. So that we were very exposed from that position too.
Sandy, I have a clarification to your statement. You mentioned it was $175 an hour. It's not.
It's $175 a month for 2 hours, sorry. I actually said that in it. And 2 hours a month at $175 per month.
Second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow. Okay, Kelly, any comments?
Yeah, I'm fine with your motion. I guess my question would be, why don't we have the three, because anytime we change vendors, we come forward with 3 proposals from 3 different vendors, and I just want to know, we may go with Prime, they may be the cheapest, but even that, we usually have 3 proposals, even if they're outlandishly too expensive.
So the committee put it out to 4, and 2 declined, and 2 did bids, and the other was Mapleson. The committee would like to go with Prime. So this is coming up through the committee channel. We gave them the budget to do this, so this is coming up the committee, and I feel like we need to approve it. But this is something that they've been working on for a long time, and they've done a ton of work on this.
I never doubt how much work a volunteer is doing. That's never the question. My question is that we have a procedure and a practice in place, and as all the work that the committee did should have come also forward to the board so that we're aware and have all that documentation of what they've been doing. Because technically, even if they're outlandishly expensive, we still need to be able to see them, because you never know. We might change the budget despite Lynn not wanting to, just because it might be worth it. So
we can ask them for those because they did all the work. I actually think she put this in here in the notations. So this has been in their minutes for months that they were working on this. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I honestly, when we did Mapleson Media, nobody went out and looked and did bids and all of that.
Wait a minute though. Bill created our current website when he lived here and had the website committee. So what happened was when we lost our IT person who was in charge of the website, we're like, what do we do? And that's how we got Bill. So you're right, we've never looked at a bunch of vendors. We've always just relied on who we had here within Oceana.
Right.
And I just think it'd be nice to have it come forward to the board with a number of choices. Whether it's, we ask that from every vendor and everything we go to.
So you want 3 bids to come when they bring forward the Prime Media contract?
Well, yeah, Mapleson would be one and Prime would be one, so I'm just looking for one additional one if you're looking at it.
Yeah, we had 2 decline, so that it was just forward shot. We even looked at having somebody from the college do it. I mean, they looked at a lot of stuff to try to make this work. So we can tell the committee that when they do this, when we bring the contract for Prime Media forward, to bring Mapleson's contract forward, and to find a 3rd one if they can find one.
Okay, because here's what I'm looking at. There's other nonprofits within the city who use, shall I say, contractually limited finances in doing websites, and they have excellent websites. So what I don't know is, did we reach out to some of those webmasters? And maybe they did, and maybe they're right there, but those are some possibilities that could be very good for us.
Okay, so my motion is this is the money and to do it. So the process then is I can go back to the hub and I can say, okay, you gotta find another contract, here's an idea, I'm gonna point them at you to find a city resource, because that's a big giant hole. They've got the one from Mapleson and they've got this one, and also to negotiate Primes down to a 2-pager that makes sense. So that's a lot we have a meeting next week, so the work can be done. So is that, I'm not putting that in motion, but I'm gonna say.
Right, yeah, no, you don't have to put it in the motion. I'm fine with the motion as it is.
Okay. So we will, Evelyn, we will talk to them next week about that, okay. Roxanne, you have anything to say?
No, other than I'm glad Kelly brought this up, and I think she's right, and I know it's might be a little bit disappointing for the hub, but I think we have to stick with our standard practices.
I don't think they're going to be disappointed. I think they're going to be frustrated. They put a lot of work into this, and nobody said anything in all the minutes that went along. So I think will be the frustration. But fortunately, the ones I usually hear from the hub aren't here, except poor Ellen. I'm going to be right behind her. Evelyn and I'll stand right behind Ellen. Evelyn?
I just want to thank the volunteers of the hub because they have been researching this and investigating this for a long period of time. And when the new web coordinator came in for the hub, that was her initial goal, was to revamp our website and make it more marketable. So I just want to say thank you to them, because they're probably watching or listening. I know that you're frustrated, but we just need a little bit more time, and just be patient with us. And just thank you for the work that you're doing.
That was awesome. Karen?
I, sorry, I just need to cough in the mic. I appreciate the work of the committee, and I know how hard they worked on this, so for me personally, I'd be ready to go with it. I've been in the position before where you seek people to give you bids and proposals, and they decline to bid. We've had that situation before where you end up with 2 bids. So out of Mapleson Media and Prime Media, I would agree to go with Prime Media, especially if they make their contract a little less than 9 pages and ask for a personal guarantee, which no one in this HOA will do.
Okay, we started with you, right, Lynn? I think.
No, not on this one.
Okay, I don't know where we started. Peter, do you have anything to add?
No.
Lynn?
I agree with Kelly in that, just like when Fernando brings something to us, he has a packet, he's recommending one, and then the work that he did. It would have been better for this to come as a packet that said, here's the ones we considered, and here's what we decided and are recommending, because that's what our requirement is. I would like to see this as just a learning experience and a recommendation to people in other situations to make sure they do that. I know that they did it, I have no doubt, because Sandy says that they did, and I know the people on the hub. So I would be in favor of the motion now, but I would want to make sure that that packet of information is included in the future from anybody else.
Okay, the motion is to approve bringing on a new webmaster for no more than $1,000 startup, 500 annual ADA compliance, and 2 hours a month at $175 per month with a 30 days termination notice and an agreement that's 2 pages or less. I just added that last part, it's not there. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 700, the motion passes. Okay, oh, we're on to the golf course, yes. No, we're not gonna take a lunch break because we're gonna finish in like 15 minutes, so. Okay.
Peter, can you time that?
Don't count the golf course up. Actually, the resignations and the new members alone is like 15 pages long.
Where's that stop sign?
With the candidate forms. Okay, from our friends at the golf course, the weather has been very challenging and the golf course and driving range availability and usage has been severely impacted this month. With that said, the course is handling the rain well. We've seen no significant erosion or storm damage thus far, and our maintenance team has done a fantastic job tending to the cart paths and other sensitive areas on the course. Our Emerald Isle Golf app has been a great way to communicate immediately with our customers and alert them to any course closures or changes in our hours of operation, as well as provide quick links to register for our tournaments. We strongly recommend everyone download the free app to keep up to date with all happening at the course. My husband totally agrees with this, by the way. He says it's great. We managed to squeeze in the Super Bowl Scramble tournament between the storms and enjoyed a sold-out event. Our next event will be our St. Patty's Day tournament on Sunday, March 10th. Natalie has expanded her instruction offerings with a drop-in class available every Saturday from 12 to 1:30 for $25, and our PGA Junior League will begin next month. Thank you, Emerald Isle.
Can I make a comment?
About the golf course?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course. I'd like to pass a comment on to the golf course, to the maintenance of the golf course. They talked about keeping the cartways clear. When we have heavy rains like we do, they bring their backhoe in and the backhoe scrapes the cartways. And in the process of scraping the cartways, they scrape the tree roots that are adjacent to the cartways, particularly on the south border of the golf course. Scraping these tree roots is ultimately going to lead to the demise of these trees.
Peter, could you send Roxanne and I an email about this, because we have the golf course meeting next week.
Okay.
And if you had, that we can actually just bring that to the attention.
And I can also give you pictures too.
That'd be perfect. Thank you. Okay, all right, you guys ready? Here are all of our people we're going to approve for volunteers. For activities, we have, is it Helena? Helena Agnew for Sharon Ware. For the CRC, we have resignations from Karen Wickersham, Dorette Amir, Shu Mai Finney, Marianne Elger. On the Finance Committee, a new chair of John McDonald and a new member of Meg Marple. On Unit Advisors, Lynn Schneid, how do I say it properly? Schneidenbach is a new unit advisor, and we've had resignations from Steve Waller and Linda Langworthy. And the IT ad hoc has added Sydney Wasson. Did I miss anybody? That took a long time to do, by the way. Okay, do I have a motion to approve these volunteers? Wow. Okay, I'm going to give Karen and Kelly that one just because I have to have a name. All in favor, raise your hand. Awesome, 700. Okay, now we're going to go down. If you have a comment, let us know. Architecture Committee. Anybody? Lynn, with your microphone. Oh, you did it, yes.
On their second page is page 68, committee discussion. The committee discussed with Karen Bishop the use of common area because she felt it was unclear in the CCNRs. Who is she referring to, the committee or Karen?
I believe Lisa Baggett wrote that, and I circled this because if she's referring to Karen, Karen was very clear, so I don't know what that refers to.
No, it sounds to me like she's saying that it was discussed because it was unclear before the discussion. But is this she someone on the committee or is it you?
I didn't write these minutes, I don't know what she means.
I think she's referring to Karen, if I read it correctly.
That's how I read it, that she thought I was unclear. And I circled that because I'm far from unclear, I'm very clear, so.
So could you guys ask them to update the minutes to clarify this point?
Yep. And one other thing on the minutes for when you meet on March 12th, I believe your next meeting is, I was there at that meeting because as a homeowner, I had a request in, but it turns out I also ended up being the executive sub because Lynn was not there. So Peter and I were the executive sub.
So that needs to be reflected in the minutes. So if you guys can make sure that gets added to the minutes, please.
Which minutes?
The Architecture Committee minutes. Okay, and then I just have one thing on the ESC. I just have a question about this. It said there was a follow-up discussion about a Solid House number. A number unit that a committee member purchased on Amazon was approved by the committee. Was it previously approved or was it approved in this meeting?
In this meeting.
Okay, so my question is, why is that only in the ESC but not in the minutes?
I didn't write the minutes.
Okay, so can you ask them to please put that approval and the vote in the minutes? Because it said that you did one, and you guys apparently okayed that, so.
But we don't have the
grid? It's in there, but this isn't.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's 1021, does so mean just a light?
You're thinking maybe it's one of those that are in there already?
Yeah, is that a light, is that a roof? Or,
Okay.
I mean, solar
If
installation?
they could just clarify this in their minutes, you guys, would you mind taking that to them? Nod your head yes, Lynn and Peter. Okay, landscape, anybody? Activities, anybody? Got one minute. I have activities. Sorry, Ellen. Okay, one question. Activities financial statements. October, November bank statements were not submitted. So are we good? Does the committee have what they need now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes? The chair is not nodding her head. Oh, you are? Okay. All right. So they have what they need. Okay, great. CRC. Okay. Facilities did not submit any, so those of you on facilities, we need their February meeting
I
minutes.
have one question about CRC. The ones that are in the packet on page 82 are from January.
Right.
And they should have had a February meeting, but we don't have minutes for that. So it seems like they're like.
They're always a month behind because they approve their minutes before they send them over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a procedural thing they do on that committee, so.
Could we back up on your question on the activities committee?
Uh-huh.
they have what they need for 2023 because I do a in-house spreadsheet for them. The 2023 ones will be what they need once they've gone through audit and adjustment. The 2024 are moving forward with the new system and there won't be a problem.
Well, the question was, where are the bank statements? So my question was, are they getting their bank statements? And you said yes.
The bank statements they should be getting in their packet every month. I print them.
Okay. Are you getting them?
I think so.
Okay, because it was in the minutes that you weren't from this month. So, yeah. Roxanne, can you have one more meeting, right? Next week?
Yes.
Right, okay. Can you make sure to verify that they're getting those bank statements? Great. And Marisa, if you could make sure that's in their packet. Okay, facilities, we need their February and their March next month. Finance Committee, thank you, Finance Committee. Thank you, Charlie, for getting them to us. It came like 2 seconds before we had to do this. This is great. Any comment on the Finance Committee meeting minutes? Okay, next is the Hub. This is their February meeting. Anybody? Okay, Unit Advisors. Good, okay. And, oh, Peter, you're going to give us an update on the ad hoc for water remediation. I am.
No, actually, I thought you were going to ask.
Right here on the agenda.
The strategic plan water reduction usage plan is on hold until after the election and the seating of the new board of directors.
Because they haven't met in like 5 months. So we've asked the question for 3 months, why aren't they meeting?
Yes, and I have had numerous conversations with Lisa Baggett regarding this, and
Okay, so
it hasn't happened. All right, Lisa and I discussed, we recommend to the board that the initiative be continued as an ad hoc committee utilizing the 30-some homeowners who have expressed interest in being involved.
Okay, so can we get them to have a meeting? When do they usually meet?
I think it's the third Tuesday of the month, the third Wednesday.
Great, that's the week after the election. Can we make sure they have a meeting? That was the request.
Yes, yes.
Well, I think it's important
I will
because-
use my magical powers to make sure that they have a meeting.
Great, well, I mean, they haven't met in months, so I think it's important that they meet, so. Okay,
I'm just the liaison to the committee.
I understand.
Yes.
Can you request they meet
Yes.
this month? Great, thank you. Okay, and the other we did above. So, do I have a motion to approve the committee minutes as amended? Karen makes the motion. Do I have, who was that?
Kelly.
Kelly.
The other KB.
KB and Kel. KB and Kel. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 700. Awesome. Okay, roundtable to the next board. The rental status project report for me. Oh, I'm sorry. Questions from attendees. I'm sorry, didn't mean to not hit you. Would you like to come to the microphone, Ellen, and ask a question?
Hi, thank you. Ellen Marcial, Unit 7. I don't have a question. I just wanted to make a statement about the Vista Bella development. And I'll say that it's great if the board wants to take a position on it and memorialize that position in some kind of document to the city. And that's important, I think. And a petition, I think, probably is good too, but really, I know at city council meetings, I've been to many of them, and I haven't been to a planning commission meeting yet, but I'm pretty sure they handle it the same way. The mayor will say, how many letters have we received? The fact that one of them was from the board of directors isn't going to help one way or another on that fact. she's going to want to know how many letters. And if it's 10, but one of them's from the board of directors, she doesn't care. So just in terms of quantity, and it's fine that, the board should maybe take a position on that and document it. But let's tell the homeowners the most important thing they can do is write a letter, not sign a petition, not say, well, my board of directors says they don't like it. They have to write a letter. And maybe what we can do as a board or a community, write a form letter and put it, that's very common, and those count by the mayor. She counts them even if they're all exactly the same. And all someone did was Xerox a copy and sign their name at the bottom. It's just important to have quantity.
Ellen, would you like to create the form letter?
I will. I'm a little, though, it's still so early. As Manny's email said, he only got the revised plan 2 weeks ago, so I don't know what the revised plan shows. So, what if, I don't know. It's almost premature to do a petition even. Nobody's seen the revised plan yet.
But he did say in his notes when he expected to have that. It was in here.
This week.
Yeah.
What was it?
It said this
Yeah,
last
this
week.
week. I mean, it's like any day now.
So Ellen, the only thing I can think is, based upon the presentation that was made on December, I think it was 13th, these are the concerns that we have.
Right, and I just don't want to diminish our position by saying, well, they wrote that letter, that was on their previous submittal, that was on the development's previous submittal. They've reduced it down to 4 stories. They've reduced the number of units. They've added more. Who knows what the new one says? I doubt it, but conceivably, I don't know. We'll just have to keep working on it. But yes, I'll help write a form letter. Sure.
Yeah, my other concern is if you write it at this point, is it just a NIMBY letter? Not
Right.
my backyard.
Exactly.
I don't care
Right.
how big it is.
Right. These homeowners don't know what it is. They haven't seen the new plan because I only got it last week. Anyway, but yeah, I'll help write a form.
Yes, but if you or any of us went to City Hall and asked to see the revised plan, you could see it.
That's true. Correct. Yep. It's public information.
So maybe that's the step.
Yes.
Is to do that, and if you can work with Peter, Ellen, that would be great. Because if you send a form letter, a lot of people will do it. I'll do it. It's easy.
If we put a stack of them in the back at the annual meeting, they'll pick them up and sign them.
Yeah, it'd be great. They could just fill it out and mail it.
Yep. Agreed.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you. You have another question?
No, thank you.
Does anybody else have? Oh, Charlie has a question.
Earlier there was a comment, Landon, I love you a lot, but if there's money left over in the reserves for trees, you don't just, oh yeah, we can use that next year, because that just doesn't seem like it's the process you use. Because I've been working with different companies, you get toward the end of the year, it's, oh, we still got money in our budget, we got to spend the money. It's like, if you want to have some money out there, you put in like a contingency fund out there. Anyway, that's just one comment.
That would be part of the recommendation when that comes back. Because it's reserve money and it was approved for trees in the previous year, we can still use it that way. But in the recommendation that we come back with to the board on what to do, that would have to be addressed as well, you're right.
Yeah, because when you look at the reserve study, they've got some years where you're not spending all your money, and that increases the value. You just automatically say, oh yeah, we're going to spend that for the next year. The other thing is on the neighborhood awareness form. I just don't have good, warm, fuzzy feelings for that, because I've got a neighbor that's behind us, and I can see the front yards of like three people. Now, are they going to send me any one of those forms, or are they going to send me something on what they do and don't do? Who do you send those to? Because I think a lot of us, some of us live on a street where we just have our side, and then we look down or we look up to someone else. It's I don't know how you manage that, because I've got a neighbor down there that just does whatever she wants to do, and I doubt she's ever going to have me look at any kind of form, or I doubt if she's ever going to ask for approval for the stuff that she does on there. So anyway, my comment.
And just so Lynn and Roxanna are clear, the board gave you the authority to decide how to spend that money today. So you don't have to bring it back to the board. That was the vote.
No, but aren't we coming back to the board to see here's what we decided and is going to be done?
You don't have to, but you good, but it's not really subject to another interpretation, so that was why the vote was done the way it was, so that we can get this done and get that moving.
Maybe later, Lynn and I, and if you wanted to be, we can meet with Nina to see what Eric came up with.
Because you got it today, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of things on there that were recommended, and I'm sure homeowners would appreciate being trimmed, but we just couldn't get to, and maybe now we can.
Okay, anybody else have a question? Donna, come on down. Oh, Marisa, can you pass the mic?
I just want to add what Ellen had to say. Having worked for the planning department of a city, the more stink we raise, the more we will get what we need. I would recommend that you let people know about the planning meeting and people attend that meeting.
That'd be great. Everybody put that energy to that. That'd be great. Okay, anybody else? We have a question? Okay, roundtable, rental project status, an update from the ad hoc common area, and we added one today. What was it? Oh, the wood shop, lapidary. What do we call that? Not safety. What is it called? Yeah. What'd you say? Guidelines and signature, right? Okay. Anything else for the round table for somebody else? Anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are done.